California football fans have cleared customs with nothing to declare but their love for their football team. However, the duties have been punishing on the field for Kay Stevenson's Gold Miners. The bright spot running back Mike Oliphant, whose numbers translate well in any country. The league's biggest proponents of open markets are the BC Lions, and now Dave Ritchie's team has California native John Volpe back in the lineup. Canada could have a big advantage over the U.S. Catch the West Coast Shaker next. BC's offensive explosion has been keyed by quarterbacks Danny McManus and Danny Barrett. Mixed in offensive coordinator Joe Paopao, and the Lions are a powerhouse. BC may have the best 1-2 punch in the league. Barrett has the mobility. McManus the strong arm. They give defenses much different looks and much different problems.
I think as a team, you got to have two guys that can go in there and play at any time. And here at BC, we had two quarterbacks that can go in there and get the job done whenever the situation comes about.
Sacramento's David Archer has been the man all season long. But after a promising start, his Gold Miners are slipping. The problem, the highly paid quarterback has spent too much time on his wallet. The offensive line's poor protection has turned Archer into the CFL's most frustrated quarterback.
Well, first thing we have to do is we have to protect the quarterback. You know, we have to play together as a group. We got to pick up all the blitzes and you know, give Dave Archer a chance to throw the ball.
Tonight, two great quarterbacks meet one struggling offensive line on the CFL Live. The CFL Live on TSN is brought to you by Pepsi. Be young, have fun, drink Pepsi. And by Mark's Work Warehouse, closed at work. This is Sacramento's final first meeting as the Gold Miners make their initial visit to the stadium at BC Place to take on the BC Lions. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Vancouver. I'm Gord Miller. Well, the Gold Miners haven't exactly torn the league apart like a lot of people thought they would, but Sacramento remains gold at the gate. Despite the difference in the standings between these two teams tonight, the Lions still expect one of their largest crowds of the season. Sacramento may be the league's worst road team, but it remains the CFL's best road draw. For more on this game, let's go to John Wells.
Gord, there's more pressure on the Lions' #1 quarterback, Danny Barrett, again this week. Danny McManus had a great week against Saskatchewan, so Barrett starting tonight has to get a hot start to keep the fans in Vancouver happy. And the BC Lions, after their best win of the year, cannot afford a letdown here tonight.
No, they can't, John. You know, last week's game against Saskatchewan was really the critical point in the BC Lions season. They passed the test with flying colors, but now it gets a little tougher. They have become one of the best teams in the league, and best teams in the league are supposed to win week after week. You look at the game tonight against Sacramento, only 3 wins. Hey, the Lions should win this game, but will they? Hey, all week long, it's been a fun week, but now they have to button it back up and go out and knock heads with Sacramento. It's a game they should win. They've got 16 days off coming. They wouldn't want to think about a loss for 16 days.
And the Lions can really put a solid lock on second spot in the CFL West if they come up with a victory over the Gold Miners here tonight. From Vancouver, CFL Live.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true North strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for
Welcome back to the stadium at BC Place tonight. The first regular season meeting between the Lions and the Sacramento Gold Miners. And Leaf, what's going to be the difference in this one?
Well, John, as I look at the Sacramento team, and can they put pressure on the BC Lion quarterbacks? They've only had 19 sacks in 13 games. That just doesn't get it done in any league. They have to put some pressure on Danny Barrett tonight if they hope to win this football game.
Tonight's starting lineup will be brought to you by Speedy Auto Glass. Don't take a chance. Take your auto glass repairs and replacement to Speedy Auto Glass. Danny Barrett back this week after missing last Friday night's game at Taylor Field in Regina. And we're almost ready for the opening kickoff. Sacramento kicking off to the BC Lions. Jim Crouch, a graduate of Sacramento State, will handle the kickoff assignment for Sacramento. And we're underway. This is Lonnie Turner at the Lions 20. Decent return for Turner as he gets out near the 40-yard line. BC quarterback Danny Barrett back as a starter after a bout with the flu. Barrett will have John Volpe in the BC backfield for only the 4th time, along with Sean Millington. Ray Alexander leads a solid receiving corps with Clark Trevathan and Darren Flutie.
And John, a real strong suit with the BC Lions as their offensive line did not give up a sack a week ago in that big win against Saskatchewan. So they responded to a shaky week the week before with a fine game.
Yeah, the week before there were 5 sacks. Here's Barrett. To his right, time to throw. And completes near the 50-yard line. Darren Flutie makes the catch, number 82. The Gold Miners are looking for a better pass rush from the front 4, Brent and Rob White, plus Vance Hammond and Emmanuel King. Mark Ledbetter leads the linebackers with Curtis Moore and Corian Freeman.
And this is a defense that has put a lot of pressure on its secondary with not a great pass rush, as we talked about it. These are the 5 starters. They will play 6 and 7 defensive backs tonight. You will see that scheme from Sacramento.
On 2nd and 1, there is nowhere to go as Ledbetter closed in on John Volpe. And Volpe off to a tough beginning at BC Place tonight.
John, he had a tough week last week. You know, he came back into the lineup, and I think everybody expected that he would have a superb night rushing the football. But last week, those are his numbers on the entire season. But last week against Saskatchewan, 17 carries, only 25 yards. So, you know, as he has come back off injury after injury this year, he has been a bit of a disappointment with his running.
Lupus Aglia is in and standing at the Lion 35. This is Joe Johnson deep for the Sacramento Gold Miners. Kick bouncing near the 11, and Johnson gets to the 15. Sacramento quarterback David Archer has absorbed quite a pounding in his first year in the CFL. Still, he has managed to put up some great numbers. Receivers tonight include Titus Dixon, Willie Boyer, Charles Thompson, and Rod Harris. He has reliable runners in Oliphant and Pringle.
The offensive line that has given up 55 sacks. Only Toronto's given up more, and that's been the big problem area for Sacramento. So many injuries this year. It seems like a new lineup every week, but those are the 5 fellows trying to protect for David Archer tonight.
On 1st down, Archer far side, and it's picked off by Brown. He's down the sideline. Les Brown has the touchdown. First pass of the game, picked off for a touchdown. No flags anywhere, so the Lions into a very early 6-0 lead.
And you can only do that when you're a veteran who understands how offenses work. When Titus Dixon broke to the inside, Les Brown read the eyes of the quarterback, left his man, went over and helped out Kelly Sims and cuts it front and makes the interception. But really, that is just a corner that understands offenses, how patterns work. He anticipated, made the gamble, made the play, and What a way for the Lions to start tonight's game on defense.
Fourth interception of the year for Les Brown. Lou Pasaglia makes it 7-0 Lions. And the stadium at BC Place, not a friendly spot for the Sacramento Gold Miners, who trail 7-0 to the Lions early in the opening quarter. BC leading Sacramento 7-0 on Les Brown's return for a touchdown.
John, he had a big interception last week, one to begin the game tonight for a touchdown, and these are updated statistics on Les Brown, the all-time interception leader in CFL history with 76 now, and he's done that in only 10 seasons. You know, his anticipation is unbelievable. He is a guy that studies offensive formations and patterns. He knows when the guy he's covering goes into the middle, chances they're trying to sneak somebody else in behind him. He anticipates perfectly, makes the interception. He's just some kind of player. And he'll tell you about it, too.
He's been around. He's traveled the Canadian Football League for 10 years now. Played with Dave Ritchie in Ottawa. Been a Hamilton Tiger Cat, a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. Lou Pasaglia, the all-time points champion in pro football. Pasaglia with over 2,700 points in his 17 seasons in Canadian football. So the Lions offense couldn't get it done, but on one play, the defense has BC in front 7-0 against Sacramento. Nowhere for Dixon to go. Now he gets to the 39-yard line, a 5-yard return after a short 40-yard kickoff by Pasaglia. The Lions have 3 non-imports performing well in the front 4 of the defense: Warnock, McCready, and Ron Scribner. The veteran linebackers are Jones and West, along with Zoc Allen and O.J. Brigance.
And of course, Les Brown, you saw the interception. A newcomer, Kelly Sims, in his 3rd game, and he's a guy that I just love. He plays hard, aggressive, and you watch number 3 tonight. He's going to be a tremendously good defensive back.
Here's Archer in trouble. Glenn Scribner, number 72, through to make the tackle. For Scribner, that is his 7th sack of the season.
Yeah, and 41st for the BC Lions defense. It ranks 3rd in the CFL, and they have had some nice production from their front 3 of Warnock, McCready, and Scribner. Scribner gets the sack right here, but you know, Charles Thompson was open down the field. That's who Archer was looking at, but it means nothing if you can't get the ball off. And the BC Lions with some good defense early, nice pressure in the sack from Scribner.
Glenn Scribner, Derek McCready, Kent Warnock, and Tim Lorenz. Solid Canadians.
They call themselves the Hanson brothers. The hockey, old slapshot one.
Ah, yes. Out of the backfield, Pringle couldn't hang on. David Archer having a little bit of a rocky start. His first pass for a touchdown on an interception by Brown. Then he was sacked.
Remember the Hanson brothers from the
I do, the guys with the glasses.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. They call themselves the Hanson brothers because Kent Warnock wears those little glasses too and kind of look like one of the Hanson brothers. So that's how they've tagged themselves. All Canadian front 3 BC Lions are featuring.
Actually a front 4 where they have 3 on the line, and Tim Lorenz rotating through the position with McCready, Scribner, and Warnock. This is Lonnie Turner. Got one block, no flag, and Turner has some room to the near side. Great speed for Lonnie Turner, and he's forced out near the 40-yard line of Sacramento. The kicker, Pete Gardier, over to force Turner out. The last line of resistance, 49-yard punt leaf and a 43-yard return for Lonnie Turner.
And usually all you need is one block to get it to the outside. It occurs right there, and now it is free sailing for Lonnie Turner, who has 4.3 speed, obviously the fastest BC Lion. And the BC Lions a week ago, special teams was a huge part of their win in Saskatchewan, and tonight with a big kick return to set Danny Barrett up nicely.
Yeah, nicely at the 37 of Sacramento. First down Lions. Good fake. Play action by Barrett. Millington makes the catch, and he's stopped just shy of the 30-yard line. Sean Millington. 6 yards on the play. Kay Stevenson looking for his 4th win in Canadian football. And what a year Dave Ritchie has had in his first year as a head coach of the BC Lions. 9-5. A year ago, they were 3-11.
That's right. I was just going to mention that. Only 3 wins, so it's been a tremendous turnaround. I mean, it hasn't been Dave Ritchie. It's been Eric Tillman, the general manager. The whole organization. Stability, it's translated to victories on the field.
2nd and 4. Barrett with time. Dumps it across for John Volpe. And Volpe has room to run. He's inside the 15. Lost the ball. It's picked up, but I think they'll rule it dead. John Wiley came up with the ball for Sacramento. 19 for John Volpe.
Pretty good scheme for Danny Barrett. Here's John Volpe. Now he's just going to wait and then sneak through the line of scrimmage, and you know everybody else clears out and leaves him a lot of running room once Barrett is able to find him. But Volpe just kind of hides in behind the tackles, then sneaks out of the backfield. Barrett finds him, and he's off and running. And though they struggled on the opening series, they look in sync now.
From the 13, 1st down Lions. Volpe again, caught from behind by White. That's Brent White, number 71. There's a couple of Whites out there. 91 is Rob White. No gain on the play for John Volpe. A couple of weeks ago, Danny McManus started for Danny Barrett in Edmonton and won the game. Barrett came back the next week and set a CFL record, 601 yards passing, a record that was 39 years old. Second and 10, Barrett to the end zone. Flutie was the intended receiver, and Barrett just off target.
Well, Flutie went to the post, and Barrett threw it back to the corner, and there was just no way that Doug Flutie could get back to the football, so they stalled. But the good news is that after that long punt return of Lonnie Turner, he'll probably come out of it with some points.
Lou Pasaglia is in, good on 28 of 37 field goals, 75%. He has a league record with 602 through 18 seasons of service. This will be a 19-yarder for Lou Pasaglia. And no mistake about it, it's 10-0. The Lions have the lead on the Sacramento Gold Miners. From Vancouver, CFL Live. First time that the Lions and the Gold Miners got together was in the preseason. Sacramento winning 39-20. Freeman Basinger an 82-yard punt return in that game, and a lot of people thought, hey, here comes that all-American team into Canadian football. All the CFL teams are going to be in trouble, but it hasn't quite worked out that way.
Well, it hasn't worked out that way because primarily they're playing with a team full of rookies. David Archer has pro experience, so does Bobby Humphrey and Mike Oliphant, but for all intents and purposes, this is a very young team, and to be asked to be thrown together in a short period of time and function at a high level, I think was just too much.
Remember back to the first game of the season in Ottawa with Sacramento there, the newspapers in Ottawa talking about Sacramento were going to win that opening game 78-0.
Didn't work out that way, did it?
Not quite. 1st and 10 now. Gold Miners just shy of the 35. Here's Archer to his right, can't find a receiver, and unloaded into the turf. Intending that for number 81, Rod Harris.
And it's obvious already that the BC Lions secondary is going to play the Sacramento receivers very aggressively. That time Archer with short patterns to both Rod Harris and Charles Thompson, but they couldn't even get open 6-yard patterns because BC was so aggressive. Finally, when Archer had time to throw, the pressure was on him and he couldn't complete a pass.
Gold Miners have allowed 55 sacks so far this season. 56 counting the one tonight. And Archer has been in for most of them. Standing in from the shotgun. Picked out. Second interception. This is Tom Europe. Europe gets up and is still standing as he crosses the 50-yard line. 2 interceptions. Thompson made the tackle, but the Gold Miners have turned it over twice in the opening quarter. First time went for a touchdown.
And it was the coverage of number 3, Kelly Sims, at the top of your screen. And He is just all over Willie Boyer, and as the ball is thrown, it's tipped up in the air, and Tommy Europe, number 13, with his first interception of the season, a diving catch, and boy, 2 interceptions early in the first quarter, but that was some catch by Tom Europe. But once again, it was the coverage of Kelly Sims that set it all up.
Barrett has great field position. Now inside the Sacramento 50. Good fake by Barrett. And he's on target at the 35-yard line. Darren Flutie makes the catch. And that'll be another BC first down.
Flutie, when you give him that kind of time that he can work down the field about 20 yards and then come on the comeback pattern to the sidelines, it's almost impossible to cover him. Saw his numbers going into tonight's game. He's got an outside shot at being a 1,000-yard receiver, as do all the other BC Lion slotbacks and wide receivers.
13 yards for Flutie on the previous play. The Lions first down, 35. Barrett shotgun over the middle. Alexander has his first, and he's inside the 15. Stopped by John Wiley and Derek Davis, number 22.
They run a little ISO with Ray Alexander on the backside, 3 receivers wide. They know they're going to get one-on-one with Derek Davis, and he allows Alexander that inside positioning to the post, and it becomes a pretty easy pass to complete for Barrett.
Ray Alexander will go over 1,000 yards this season. He's at 9:27 coming into the game, and 21 for that reception. And another Lion first down here for Danny Barrett. End zone toss. Millington waits for it in the corner. He hangs on. But he's ruled out of bounds.
I don't know about that one.
Trevathan doesn't like the call. Now hang on.
I think the official's going to talk that one over. It sure looked like from here that he made a great play to make the catch, and whether he was in or out of bounds maybe is not the question. Was he pushed out while he was in the air? Sure looked like a touchdown initially.
The official standing right at the line was waving it off.
BC number 55, 10-yard penalty. First down repeated.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway. Ian Sinclair, the center, gets caught for holding. But I thought Sean Millington made a super play. Watch the subtle push-off right there against number 94, Curtis Moore. No question he was in bounds when he caught it, but the holding penalty would have nullified it anyway.
So they're off the hook. Lions now 1st and 20. Shotgun Barrett. Over the middle. Alexander. He's down to the 5. Ray Alexander stopped by Robinson, number 21. The gain is 19. He's a yard short of the first down.
One of the reasons why BC is functioning so effectively on offense is they're able to go to their secondary receivers. That was to go to the wide side of the field. It was covered, so Alexander just kind of loping across the field from the backside finds an open spot, and Barrett is able to hit him and complete the pass, but you can only do that when you have lots of protection up front, and they've been giving that to Barrett so far in the first quarter.
This is Lonnie Turner, and he comes up short of the first down. Stopped by Corian Freeman, number 50.
I think they've used Lonnie Turner very wisely in the BC offense. He's not a starting player, but he comes in as the 5th receiver, and he replaces John Volpe. And we saw him last week run out of that tailback position. He's got the blinding speed. I told you he's the fastest member of the BC Lions, but I think they are using his talents very effectively.
It is now 3rd and 1. The Lions at the Sacramento 5-yard line. Barrett to the second man throw. And we'll see where they spot that one. It's awfully close. I don't think the Lions made the gamble pay off that time. Solid defense by the Gold Miners. And they'll measure John Volpe's run.
Sacramento got tremendous penetration early. You see Corian Freeman right there, and he forces it back inside where help comes from John Wiley and number 94, the middle linebacker, Curtis Moore. And boy, it sure didn't look initially like he picked up the first down.
The measurement will tell the tale, and it is enough for the first down to keep the BC Lion drive alive. Not much has gone right for the Sacramento Gold Miners here tonight.
That's pretty good short yardage defense, but give John Volpe credit. You know, he's a small guy, but he's pretty strong in the upper body, and he was able to squirm for that extra few inches to keep this drive going.
Lions now 1st and goal at the 4. Barrett right along the line, intending that for Millington. Or Matt Clark, rather, number 85.
Yeah, Danny's laughing. That was an easy one. He had Matt Clark on Junior Robinson, and Matt Clark was wide open. It was an easy touchdown, and Barrett just simply missed it. That's one of those ones. I'll guarantee you when Matt Clark came back into the huddle, Danny's going, my fault, my fault.
2nd and goal from the 4, the Lions leading 10-0 in the Sacramento Gold Miners. Millington this time, but there's a marker down. Millington into the end zone, and it might be back on a procedure call.
Well, Sean Millington's going to get a little frustrated. That's the 2nd touchdown that he will not get.
BC number 88, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down repeated.
Ray Alexander was coming in motion down the line of scrimmage, and he kind of just stumbled and tripped and fell over the line of scrimmage and went offside. But 2 touchdowns now for Sean Millington, wiped out by penalties.
Yeah, on the same drive.
I hope he's a patient man.
6 touchdowns in the season for Sean Millington. 3 rushing, 3 receiving. Alexander, the intended receiver this time, and no penalty markers anywhere on the field.
And this is solid work by number 22, Derek Davis, the corner. Watch the inside position now, and you're going to get a little contact as the ball arrives, but I don't think enough to draw a flag, but that is great position. You see how subtly he was kind of pushing Alexander all the way to the sidelines and not allowing him to bend back in and try and make the catch, but that's pretty good work. You know, he was with the Atlanta Falcons camp, and they run that run and shoot, and Derek Davis was telling me before the game that that really helped him when he came to this freewheeling style of football in the CFL.
On 3rd down, Lou Pasaglia settles for 3. Blue is 2 for 2, and the BC Lions have a 13-0 lead for head coach Dave Ritchie with 2:53 to go in Vancouver in the opening quarter. CFL Eastern Division, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the only team to have clinched a playoff spot, and they've already clinched top spot in the Eastern Division with Hamilton, Ottawa, and Toronto still battling for the final playoff spots. And everybody is in, at least the top 4 teams are in the CFL West. Sacramento is out. We're just waiting to finalize the order of finish in the Western Division. The Gord Miller Fan Club.
My goodness gracious.
They're from Florida.
I'll tell you what, how much did that cost, Gord, you figure, to have him hold that banner?
I think his printing is getting a little neater.
Look at this.
Well, the only problem is that these guys are out parking the cars, too, so they can't stick around very long. That's a couple of friends of mine from Florida who came down for the game today.
They came up for the game, I'd say, right?
I guess, yeah, that would be right, wouldn't it?
Technically speaking. Sacramento on 1st down. Here's Archer near side, and he's too high. Intending that for number 6, Charles Thompson. Thompson playing his 2nd game for Sacramento.
He's quarterback at Oklahoma, wishbone quarterback, a very versatile athlete. Became a receiver now with the Sacramento Gold Miners. But for David Archer, I mean, just as he let that ball go, Zach Allen, number 44, was coming on the blitz and just hammered him right in the head. And David Archer has really taken a physical pounding this year. He was quoted in the paper as saying, you know, this is a fun game, I like it, but man, I've taken some punishment this year.
2nd and 10, Sacramento near the 35. Archer standing in, firing over the middle, and he's on target near the 55. Willie Boyer makes the catch. He's number 80. Boyer with 14 catches, 156 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. Coming into this one, has 19 yards on his first catch tonight.
Yeah, that's a solid catch. Kelly Sims once again with terrifically close coverage, but Willie Boyer comes up with the key catch. And you know, Sacramento can't let this game get out of hand. I mean, this is not a great catch-up football team, and it's 13-0 already, so I think this drive is pretty important to them.
That was the Gold Miners' first down and first completion. Michael Oliphant. And he is a terrific runner. He's got the second first down of the night for Sacramento. Tom Europe over to make the stop. Oliphant has 15 yards.
And this is one of the favorite plays of the Sacramento offensive running game, is just to give it on the search to Oliphant. And what a bright spot he has been for them. 12 touchdowns on the year. He's had 36 receptions. Outside shot at maybe gaining 1,000 yards. If there's been an all-star performer for this team, certainly has been Mike Oliphant.
Total yards on offense, 1245 for Oliphant. He doesn't get it this time. That's Mike Pringle. Number 27, met by James West. Loss of 1.
Pretty loose group at practice yesterday were the BC Lions, and one of the loosest is always James West. He was having some fun there, and when chatting with him, he's played on some great Winnipeg teams in the past. He said this team is rounding nicely into form at the right time, and I really agree with that assessment.
2nd and 11. Thompson gets the catch and fights his way to near first down territory. Charles Thompson, brought down by Brigance, number 57. He had some help down there from Tom Europe and Les Brown. Short of the first down by a couple where they spot the ball.
It's Tyrone Jones. There he is, number 99. He was in fine form at practice too. They certainly have a lot of cheerleaders on this defense, and they will tell you about it. They'll tell you they're good. They'll tell the other guys in the field they're good too.
Yeah, they mention it often during a football game out there. Jim Crouch good on 25 of 38. This one spotted right at the 40-yard line, and Crouch is wide. There goes the shutout. Lonnie Turner gives up the single point. And that ends the opening quarter at the stadium at BC Place. Not much has gone wrong or right for the Sacramento Gold Miners. They trail the Lions 13-1 on CFL Live. Lions had the lead after the opening quarter at BC Place, and here's why. 2 first downs for Sacramento compared to 4 for the Lions. 88 net yards for BC, and a couple of turnovers also on the wrong side of the board for Sacramento.
Well, a Les Brown touchdown on an interception on the opening series. Tom Europe interception led to a Passaglia field goal, and so 10 of BC's 13 points coming on turnovers.
First down for Danny Barrett beginning at the 35. Fake to Volpe. Barrett to his right and throwing on the run for Darren Flutie. It's good for a first down, and Flutie is decked by one of his own players, Rob Smith.
Rob Smith made a great tackle. They're going to laugh about that one. Maybe not Flutie.
He got the worst of it, but he's okay.
You know, this is a great throw by Danny Barrett. Like, if you don't think he's got a strong arm, you just watch that throw right there. That was a bullet. Darren Flutie with the precise patterns, and yeah, you hear the crowd in the background chuckling. They just showed that hit on the scoreboard Videotron here.
Lions first down. BC 49. Barrett looks to the other side this time and fires a little bit high, intending that for Matt Clark, number 85. Clark's having another great season. 67 receptions, 883 yards, 4 touchdowns. One of 4 Lion receivers you were talking about with a shot at 1,000 yards on the season.
Well, he's a young receiver that's really understood this game in a hurry, and he works exceptionally well against zone coverage and equally well against the man-to-man coverage. Nice guy, and works hard at his craft. All their receivers do. Technically, they're a very good group. Disciplined patterns.
2nd and 10 now. Lions at the 49. BC leading 13-1. Barrett chooses the shotgun and fires in a hurry. There's a marker down. Flutie can't quite catch up to it. Covered by John Wiley. And back at the line of scrimmage, we'll check out the infraction. .32 to play. First half. Call against the Lions.
Manuel King, who was on the practice roster of the Ottawa Rough Riders earlier in the year, plucked off the roster starting with BC, and a bit of a late hit from Corian Freeman, but Danny Barrett with pretty good time to throw this football in the first half. One of the things they were trying to do tonight was move the pocket around and not give the Sacramento pass rush a standing target all the time. Move it around. They've done a nice job with that.
Lou Pasaglia on 3rd down, standing at his 35. Pasaglia had to get out of the pocket and gets a great kick away. Markers are down as the Lions surround it and finally give way to Sacramento. We'll see what the infraction was back at the line.
It's interesting. The officials are having a conference to see if Sacramento actually touched that ball, but no. Ken Lazarick indicates that there will be no yards.
Yeah, no yards against the Lions, but I think a couple of Lion members of the special team thought that maybe it had bounced off a Sacramento returner. However, that was not the case. We'll take a timeout at the stadium at BC Place, where the Lions lead the Gold Miners 13-1.
Play. Let's go back and look at what happened to Lou Pasaglia. Let it run just for a second here, and the personal protector. Stop it right there. Okay, the BC Lion protector, he's got to make a choice. Rule of thumb is you take the inside guy, but what happens is Walter Bailey becomes free, and I think Lou Pasaglia makes a great choice here. He knows it's going to be blocked, and he pulls it down and is able to get the punt off. But you work on that scheme in practice to try and get 2 against 1, and you really can't make the right decision. Pasaglia, I thought, did a terrific job to get it away, and the BC Lion players right there maybe thought that Sacramento touched it, but the officials ruled he didn't, and they will get a no yards call.
And that sets Sacramento up. 1st down at the Gold Miner 20. Archer comes to the near side. He's on target, but not quite. Boyer couldn't make the catch. The coverage supplied by Kelly Sims, number 3. It looks like Boyer is shaken up.
That's a terrific play by Kelly Sims, and you're going to get a good look at it here, what Kelly Sims is facing. The ball is in the air, Boyer's open, but at the last second, Sims is looking into the eyes of Boyer. When those eyes get big, he knows that that ball is almost there, and he stuck up his right hand, knocked it away, and that is an unbelievable play. Kelly Sims, he too was at the Atlanta Falcons 1993 training camp, and they run a run-and-shoot offense with June Jones down there. CFL fans might remember him, but he said also, like Derek Davis, who plays for Sacramento, that really helped him in his preparation for this freewheeling style of football up here. The only thing he said he really had to adjust to was the wide field, but he has been an impact player in only his 3rd game.
Boyer will sit out a play or two, and he looks to be rather seriously shaken up as he's helped not to the bench, but straight to the dressing room for now.
Well, we'll see if we can see what happens to him, but watch it the last second. Boy, that is a great play. The hand goes up, and Boyer trying to react to the tip, goes down, and Sims falls on top of him. Looks kind of harmless, but obviously not.
Second and 10, Sacramento. From the 22, some heat on Archer, but he got it away. Johnson in for Boyer, made the catch, and he's surrounded by several BC Lions, including Les Brown and 17 Eddie Taylor. The gain is 17. Joe Johnson has his first catch.
And Joe Johnson is one of 6 receivers that the Sacramento Gold Miners will use tonight, and he faked inside, went outside on Kelly Sims. First time Sims has really been beaten tonight. And you see the problem with Joe Johnson, he comes into the game cold, juggle that ball. I talked to him before the game, and he said he hates this system where they never quite know when in the game they're going to play. He says, I can never get a rhythm going.
First down on target. Archer, that'll be another first down as Archer connects with Rod Harris, number 81. 898 yards, 6 touchdowns for Rod Harris in the season. That was his 64th catch, and good for 11 yards.
Yeah, and he is their leading receiver, and actually one of the few receivers that has played nearly every game. That also has been a problem for David Archer. Seems like he's got a different receiving core to work with every week.
First down, Sacramento out near the 50. Oliphant got the call, and there was nowhere to go. Jones was there, number 99. Ty Jones for the BC Lions, celebrating a 3-yard loss for Sacramento. BC leading 13-1.
Well, for anybody that thinks Tyrone Jones has lost a step, watch this play right here. Oliphant here and back on the counter. Who runs him down from behind is old number 99, Tyrone Jones. Still as quick as when he was in his heyday with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a number of years ago, but he got some help from the interior as Kent Warnock went in to make the play, but Ty Jones still with some good speed.
Heats on 2nd and 13. Archer escapes. Now he retreats, and that was a slight error. Zach Allen got there, number 44. Looked like it opened up for Archer a bit there, Leaf, but then it closed rather quickly, and he needed 13 yards. Little hesitation, and that was the wrong move, too.
To be honest with you, David Archer, never known as a running quarterback. Earlier in the season when I saw their games, I was pleasantly surprised at his mobility. But, watching him tonight, I think the shots that he has taken this year have really taken their toll on him, and he doesn't look nearly as mobile as he did in the first part of the year because he did have some room there.
Gardier waiting for it. Lonnie Turner bouncing over his head. He retreats to the 10, and this won't be quite as successful as an earlier return for Lonnie Turner. He lost 3 on a 47-yard punt. And Oliphant led the tacklers for Sacramento. The Lions have the lead. 13-1 on the Sacramento Gold Miners. From Vancouver, CFL Live. Part of the Canadian connection with Sacramento. John Payne, you see in the background there. I have to get the telestrator out to point him out, but he's behind number 63, Kiselak there, drawing some plays. An old coach of yours?
Yeah, John Payne trying to diagram a few things on the sideline for the offensive linemen of Sacramento. The BC Lions, their front 7, do so many different things with their stunts and blitzes that they really confuse an offensive line a lot of times. And, you'll see this after every series. The O-line will get together and have a meeting with John Payne to try and sort out as to exactly what the BC front 7 is doing to them.
Lions are hemmed in deep, 1st and 10, beginning at the 10. Far side, Darren Flutie makes the catch, and he's bulldogged to the ground. After a gain of better than 8, we'll see where they spot it. Derek Davis, number 22, had a hold of Darren Flutie as he made the catch. Flutie turns it into a 10-yard gain.
It's a great call on first down. If Sacramento's corners are going to lay off, this 6, 7, 8-yard hitch pattern is easy to complete. It's a possession-type pass play, and well, that's the difference between these two teams tonight. The BC Lions, great production on first down, and Sacramento's not as good.
This time Flutie to the near side. Alexander goes to the far side of the field. And Barrett goes under the cover to Mike Trevathan, number 77. Ledbetter has the tackle, number 73.
Well, Sacramento has had a lot of nail-biters this year. I believe the total is 5 games, a total of 15 points they have lost those games by. So they have been a fun team to watch because they're always in the hunt. They just haven't been able to get over the hump and win some of those close games.
That's right, Leif, 4 losses by a total of 8 points. 2nd and 3, Lions. Good catch, Trevathan, and that'll be another BC first down. Robinson, number 21, made the stop.
And you have to like the job that Danny Barrett is doing right here. He's recognizing that the Sacramento defensive backs are laying off a little bit, so that's 3 quick passes in a row that have picked up significant yardage. And Barrett's kind of saying to Sacramento, well, if you're going to play like that, we're just going to keep doing this all the way down the field, and sooner or later Sacramento's going to have to make an adjustment to that.
1st and 10, Lions have worked themselves out to the 35. Fake to Volpe, he stands in. That's Barrett standing in and finding Matt Clark for another first down right at midfield. Ledbetter in on the tackle one more time. Ledbetter has really been the leader of the Sacramento defense. 20-yard gain here.
I talked about the maturity of a Matt Clark. See how he stops? He's in the hole. He's found the soft spot in the zone, but he doesn't run through it. He chokes his motor down, sits right in there, becomes a good target for Barrett to see, and That's really an excellent play by Matt Clark to find the spot, stay in it, and wait for the football.
20-yard gain, setting the Lions up just across midfield. Fake to Millington. Barrett caught from behind, and he threw that one falling down. Volpe was the intended receiver. Ledbetter got to Barrett that time to force the throw.
Mark Ledbetter really had Danny Barrett in a vulnerable position, and this is one of the subtle adjustments that Sacramento has made. Ledbetter was a defensive end. They've moved him to his natural position of linebacker, and he comes on the blitz, and Barrett is very lucky that he didn't sustain a pretty serious injury. That leg, right leg, was really pinned. But Sacramento, better linebacking core right now with Corian Freeman and Ledbetter on the outside to try and come with the blitz occasionally and put some more pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
2nd and 10. Barrett hit as he throws. Trevathan, the intended receiver, and he got double coverage over there. Corian Freeman with a hit on Barrett as he tossed for Trevathan.
John, I just mentioned that this is a better linebacking core to blitz with than they had earlier in the season. Watch the gap, opens up for Freeman, and he just totals Barrett from the blind side. And although Barrett did get the pass off, he has taken 2 pretty hard shots on this series, and believe me, for a quarterback, they take its toll as the game wears on.
Walter Bailey and John Wiley covering on Trevathan. Here's Lou Pasaglia.
Sorry, John, we'll get to this in a sec, but it's interesting how Sacramento's really changed their personnel subtly over the course of the season to function better in the CFL game.
On the return, nowhere for Joe Johnson to go, but he draws flags as the Lions are within that 5-yard area. 13-1, BC leading Sacramento. Lou unloads another one. And with 6:43 till halftime, we'll take a break on the CFL Live from Vancouver.
Mentioning earlier Sacramento's problems this season, some of them have been caused by injuries. You saw Willie Boyer leave the field in a lot of pain earlier. Boyer separated his shoulder rather severely earlier this season. He'd just come off the injured reserve list, and now he's done it again, and they say it's once again pretty bad.
Been a tough year for Kay Stevenson, trying to find some healthy bodies week after week, and for everyone that thought that talent pool would be so available to him, it just hasn't worked out that way. He's got a lot of young, inexperienced players on his roster.
Good fake by Archer on 1st down. Now he's got to hurry. Far side, sideline pass, and it'll be a 1st down. Harris makes the catch, number 81. And Brigance was over to make the stop. 6:22 to go till halftime.
Well, sometimes when you're a quarterback and you're taking a lot of hits and there's a lot of pressure coming, the best way to try and slow it down is a little play action fake, which Archer did there. He got the time necessary to pick out Harris, but you know, the BC Lions have to respect the running game with Mike Oliphant, so that play action should work well for Archer to give him some extra protection.
Yeah, nice 19-yard gain there. 1st and 10 now at the 48. And you look for Oliphant, and so did the BC Lions. Ty Jones was there waiting for Mike Oliphant. He's averaging 7.2 yards per carry on the season.
But it's Ty Jones once again. This is the same counter play. He stuffed it earlier, and once again from the backside he is able to run it down before Mike Oliphant can even get into the line of scrimmage. They lose a couple of yards, but you know, to make a play like that, hey, that's a great individual effort. But at the point of attack, you have to have the other guys working hard, guys like McCready and Scribner, to stuff it.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. Archer's shotgun over the middle, and a penalty marker comes down this time. Taylor was covering on the play. The intended receiver was Joe Johnson, who's in for Boyer. And I think this one will go against the Lions. There's the indication. Interference charged against British Columbia.
Yeah, you couldn't hear the mic, but you're absolutely right. It was Eddie Taylor. Eddie Taylor with some great speed. You'll see him at the top right of your screen. And as Johnson makes the break, you'll see that right here, as Johnson makes his break to the inside, you know, Eddie Taylor's got so much speed, he actually almost overruns this play and couldn't avoid the contact. That was because he had such good coverage.
Right at midfield, 1st down, Sacramento. Archer back in a hurry. This is Pringle. Pringle is caught right at the line of scrimmage. Looked like he had some room to run, but Ty Jones wrestled him to the ground, and there's another big play for number 99.
That's funny. Ty Jones in his career has seen every scheme that someone can throw at him, so when the screen is set up, he's off and running as soon as the pass is complete. Knifes through the blocking, and well, he's playing like a kid out there tonight, isn't he?
He really is. Limited that to a 1-yard gain, 2nd and 9. Ty Jones, 99 in his first year as a BC Lion. Archer has a man open. Harris makes the catch, and that's a big first down for the Gold Miners right at the BC 30. 17, Eddie Taylor limited the gain to 22.
Sacramento with 3 receivers in motion tries to create a little confusion for the BC Lions secondary, but just a quick move enabled Harris to get away from Andre Francis. And you know, if Archer gets time to throw as he has on this drive, you know, he can be extremely effective. And Rod Harris, obviously his top receiver tonight so far.
First down, Sacramento. Archer standing in, looks to the corner, and overthrew the intended receiver. Tom Europe in the end zone had an opportunity as he moved into spot, and it was Titus Dixon, number 8, the intended receiver.
Not a bad thing to do every once in a while, is just to throw that bomb, even if you don't complete it. You know, Archer looks a little dismayed there, but if you got the defensive backs climbing all over your receivers up tight at the line of scrimmage, not a bad idea to air it out every once in a while and try and give your receivers a little extra room to maneuver.
Second and 10 with 3:17 to go to halftime. The Lions up 13-1. This is Thompson away from one tackle. He'll have the first down for the Gold Miners. That's a big play on offense for Sacramento. O.J. Brigance made the stop as the Gold Miners move inside the Lion 20. This is a superb drive engineered by Archer. An 11-yard gain for Charles Thompson. And the Gold Miners are closing in on some points. We'll return in a moment.
Dales.
You know, the quick screen to the inside receiver is much like a punt or kickoff return. You need one critical block at the point of attack. So let it go. Stop it right there. Here comes Mike Oliphant. He's going to come out, and as James West comes up, he'll get the key block there. Here's Thompson. He's going to take the screen pass, but it's that one key block, let it go, that really springs Thompson for the gain. There's the block on West, just enough to knock him down, allow Thompson to get by. But you know, Mike Oliphant, we talk about him, his great receiving and running abilities, but right there he makes the key block to keep this drive going.
Archer now has a first down at the BC 18.
You know, the BC Lions stormed out to an early lead, and just quietly and slowly Sacramento is letting this game kind of settle down, and they have a great chance to get right back in it here.
Touchdown here for Sacramento means a great second half, I think. Here's an opportunity. Dixon is inside the 15, brought down at about the 12 by Kelly Sims, number 3.
Well, that's the thing Kelly Sims and I talked about yesterday in this game. He said, I can't believe how far across the field I have to chase a receiver every once in a while. And well, that was the case right here as he followed Dixon all across. Makes a good tackle, but still a nice play on first down to get about 7 yards for the Gold Miners.
Here's how the quarterbacks stack up so far. 109 yards for Archer, 145 for Danny Barrett, but it should be noted the Lions have not been able to get into the end zone on offense. The touchdown for BC on an interception return by Les Brown. Gain of 6, 2nd and 4. Little heat on Archer here, and he's down. Jim Lorenz, number 98. And he got a little help with pressure from the other side, but Tim Lorenz will get credit for this.
You know, John, it seems like this is an example of the BC Lions season. You know, Sacramento moved the ball nicely, but on the critical play, they come up with the big play on defense. Tim Lorenz does not get a great deal of playing time, but working hard, he comes in along with Zach Gallen, gets the sack. I'll tell you who's played well this year is 79, Derek McCready. And your screen there, right there, runner-up for Lyman MVP honors of the week last week. He's had a fine year.
That forces 3rd and 16. Jim Crouch missed his first drive. And he's good on his second. So the gold miners drive stalls. They settle for 3. And it's now 13-4. The Lions in the lead.
This is really a typical Sacramento game, too. So many times they found themselves getting down early, but not enough that they're ever out of any games. And you see 13-4 right now. They have quietly put themselves in a nice position to be, you know, for a serious shot at this one. And the BC Lions are really going to have to lift it, get it up a gear offensively.
Lions cannot afford a letdown after last week's very impressive win over the Rough Riders at Taylor Field. That moved BC into sole possession of second spot with a 9-5 record, 2 up on Edmonton and Saskatchewan.
Well, there's no question Dave Ritchie would agree that that was the critical point in their season. They lost at home to Saskatchewan. They went back to Regina. Taylor Field, tough place to play, and came up with probably their finest half of football in the second half of that game that they had played all year. They outscored Saskatchewan 34-4, dominated the game, and boy, you know, you talk about turning points in a season. I think that had to be it so far for them.
And after this one, the Lions have a little time off, so it'll be a much happier holiday for British Columbia if, in fact, they come up with a win in this one.
You know, I don't know. You explain it to me. You're a smart guy. You got 16 days off, and yet you have to play 3 games in 8 days other times. I don't quite figure that one.
I haven't figured out the schedule.
Anyway.
Here's Turner on the return for BC. He had a big one earlier, and this is another big one for number 21 as he sets the Lions up near the 50-yard line. Jolson slowing Turner down with 1:47 to go till halftime.
Well, the storyline of this ball game, if you're just joining us, has been 2 BC Lion interceptions. One for a touchdown by Les Brown on the opening Sacramento offensive drive. The other by Tom Europe. That translated into 13 points, and BC Lions have kicked in another couple of sacks, and that really has been the difference in this game with BC ahead 13-4.
Barrett from the 49 on first down. Looks to the far side of the field. He's on target for Alexander. He is surrounded. It's Ray Alexander surrounded by several gold miners out there.
It's funny, you really see 2 philosophies here. Danny Barrett continually going back to that out pattern against Derek Davis. They've had a lot of success on it, and you know, he's refusing to come up. So obviously Bill Bradley, who coaches the defensive secondary of Sacramento, is saying, hey, we're going to make these guys put 6, 7, 8 plays together to score points. If they can do that, fine with them.
13 yards on the previous play. Barrett from the shotgun this time. Standing near midfield, Trevathan makes the catch. He's short of the first down, and the ball came loose, but they ruled it dead. Ledbetter supplying the hits. And Junior Robinson found the loose ball, but the play was whistled down.
Mike Trevathan, pretty productive week last week. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns, and as he comes across the middle, the key again for Danny Barrett. Lots of time to throw and good sight lines downfield to pick out Mike Trevathan, who's looking for his second 1,000-yard year.
On second, here's Alexander making the catch, and he is inside the 15-yard line. 1:11 to go, so the Lions will undoubtedly get more points out of this drive. It began with a Lonnie Turner return out near the 50.
And a coverage mix-up for the Sacramento Gold Miners. The hit comes from 91 Rob White, but it's too late as Ray Alexander is left wide open, and Barrett is able to pick him out.
25 yards on the connection between Barrett and Alexander. Now the end zone toss. This is touchdown. Lonnie Turner beating Junior Robinson. Second touchdown of the year for Lonnie Turner. 15 yards from Danny Barrett.
Now once again, the key is Danny Barrett. Look how long he can stand in the pocket and finally pick out a receiver. Turner in for Volpe. It's a very good offensive formation with 5 receivers in there, and Junior Robinson just can't stay with the speedster Lonnie Turner.
Total, and that was a very quick scoring drive for British Columbia. 50 seconds on the clock. Lonnie Turner has the touchdown.
And one thing Danny Barrett always looks for is to see where that middle safety is in the lineup. In this case, John Wiley. And he was really favoring to the wide side of the field. And you know, for Junior Robinson, it's a tough task when you've got so much field to try and cover a Lonnie Turner. And Turner was just able to blow by him and get the touchdown. But this is one of the dimensions. I talked about Turner earlier. They really use him effectively. Bring him in certain situations and match up his speed against an inside safety, and it worked perfectly. I think it's a nice blend. You get Volpe's running, and on passing situations, you replace him with Lonnie Turner.
Big turnaround in the last minute or so with Sacramento driving down deep inside British Columbia territory and coming up with only 3 points. The Lions right, a good punt return by Lonnie Turner into good field position, and then Turner gets the touchdown. This is Titus Dixon. Stopped near the 31. 45 seconds till the half.
Pretty solid scoring drive for the BC Lions. 4 plays, 61 yards. The Turner touchdown, big play on that drive by Ray Alexander on his reception to set it up, but that is one of the areas that has really plagued Sacramento this year. And chatting with their coaching staff yesterday, it's the fact that at the crucial times they just seem to, for whatever reason, give up the big play.
Now on first down at the 41, Archer stands in onto the cover. On target, Pringle has a first down, and he is inside the BC 50. 44, Zach Allen. And Kelly Sims making the stop after a 20-yard gain.
One of the features that I really like about Sacramento's offense is that David Archer is really willing to use Pringle and Oliphant as receivers, and I think that goes from his NFL training. If there's nothing there, he is very willing to dump it off to the backs.
Archer finds a little room to the far side. He's on target inside the 20. Harris stopped at the 15 by Eddie Taylor.
And Andre Francis was covering Rod Harris that time, and I've been watching Francis tonight. I think he's got some leg problems. He doesn't have the same speed or push-off as he normally does, and I don't know if he's injured or what the problem is. In fact, they're taking him out of the game right now and replacing him with Derek Greer, so Francis with some sort of leg problem.
32-yard gain, Archer over the middle. Great, almost a great catch. Good try by Rod Harris.
They have to like the call. The newcomer, Derek Greer, comes in, and where does Archer go immediately? Is right at him with Rod Harrison. Boy, would that have been a spectacular catch.
It was almost. Archer, 11 of 19 for 169. One interception hurt in particular. That went for a touchdown by Les Brown. And the other one set up a field goal. 2nd and 10 with 17 seconds to the half. End zone toss, touchdown. Johnson has it. Joe Johnson got behind the newcomer, Derek Greer.
And that's a huge touchdown for Sacramento to be able to come back all the way down the field quickly right before the half and answer the BC Lion touchdown with one of their own. And don't think that's not a big confidence builder for this Sacramento offense. David Archer with some time to throw, and Johnson, beautiful reaction. He was turned around and was able to turn his body around, react to the football, and get in behind Eddie Taylor for the touchdown catch. Second touchdown for Joe Johnson.
Jim Crouch adds the point after with 13 seconds till halftime.
Well, you don't know how big a play that was for Sacramento. You know, BC Lions slowly had taken back the momentum of this football game, and for Archer to come right back down the field with only 13 seconds left now to score that touchdown, that's huge.
A 9-point game.
Well, you sure see the difference when a quarterback of David Archer's ability gets time to throw and stand in that pocket. You know, he has an excellent arm. You talk to guys like Ron Lancaster and that, and they'll say, as a pure passer in this league, there really is no one better than David Archer. I think he showed it to you on that series.
Nice numbers for Archer. 4 plays to cover 69 yards. And then the 17-yard touchdown toss to Joe Johnson. First half for Archer, 12 of 20 for 186 yards.
And I think as significant as anything on that drive was the fact that Andre Francis, who is tied for the league lead in interceptions, went out with a leg injury. And if he's not able to come back in, I'm sure you'll see Archer go to that area a few more times.
Sacramento kickoff. Rolling to Lonnie Turner at the 20. 9 seconds left on the clock as Turner goes down, make it 7 till a half.
Well, that Turner did a nice job to protect that football. All John Wiley, number 7, was thinking about was trying to knock it loose and get a fumble recovery.
Ferroni File, a sports updates and Leaf story of the opening half of BC Place on the halftime show. Danny Barrett has moved the Lions efficiently, particularly on the last touchdown drive.
You know, as much time as Danny Barrett's really been getting to throw the football tonight, I would think with 7 seconds to go, well, I was just going to say he might try and air one out a little bit, but it looks like they're going to kill the clock. So much for that. See, they never listen to me.
Might have been a great time to air it out.
I thought so.
We'll never know.
No.
4 seconds now. Lions with a record of 9-5 so far this season. Dave Ritchie coached the 2 best defenses in Canadian football in Winnipeg and Ottawa, previous to coming to be the head coach of the BC Lions in 1993. It's halftime at the stadium at BC Place. Stay with us. Sports update in the Ferroni File. BC Lions lead Sacramento 20-11 on CFL Live.
Reggie Rogers is one of many rookies in the Canadian Football League, but that's where the similarity ends. Reggie's road to Hamilton was filled with many obstacles. So many obstacles that it's surprising that he still has such a positive attitude on football and life. You list your brother Don as a source of inspiration. When he died, how did that affect you?
Well, it affected me in a big way because I grew up actually not even liking sports. I wanted to be a race car driver, believe it or not. And he would push me to play. A lot of times I would be sitting in the house watching cartoons and he'd make me get up and play strikeout with him so he could pitch, or make me go out and catch passes while he would throw the ball. And he would kind of just always give me a little kick in the butt, make me get off the couch and go play something.
In 1987, on the day of the draft, how were you feeling that day?
Well, actually, I was kind of upset because at that time they told me I was going to be the 3rd round draft pick. And the 3rd round went by, 4th round went by, 5th, and I started getting kind of upset. You know, I was like, what's going on around here? And actually, when I got drafted to Detroit, I had went back to bed. It affected me in a deep way. I mean, anytime you're in an accident of that magnitude and people pass away, I mean, you'd have to be kind of a sick person, you know, not to feel something. It was a bad time, both for my family and both for their family. You know, I was drinking, they were drinking. You know, it was just a bad time all around. You know, 2 wrongs don't make a right. You know, I don't want to say it was their fault. I don't want to say it was my fault. I mean, it was something that happened. It was a bad thing, and you know, there's not much I can do about it. Just keep going. Yeah, I thought about that. You know, I thought about that a lot. You know, I thought, you know, hey, you know, I'm not a bad person. You know, I feel that I'm a good guy. You know, I feel that I'm the kind of friend that would give you the shirt off my back. And to have the thing that happened to me, and you know, to lose my brother, it was just, you know, it's kind of like just walking around with like a black cloud over my head. You know, I thought all kinds of things. You know, I was trying to figure out why. You know, and then it all boiled down to one of those questions: why ask why? You know, it was just something I got to deal with and just try to make the best out of it. Actually, I had set goals before I got here. One of my goals was to lead the team and the CFL in sacks, make All-Canadian. I feel before I got hurt, I was in pretty good running for both of those. You know, things happen, you know. I'll probably set the same ones for next year. Matter of fact, I know I'll set the same ones for next year. Yeah, but I don't think I can say it on TV. I'll just say stuff happens. You know, you just have to just overcome it, you know, and just be a man about it. You know, basically, that's all it boils down to, be a man about it, you know. I use a little expression sometimes, if I cry, what the baby's gonna do? You know, no time for it.
Here are the numbers from the opening half at the stadium at BC Place. First downs all even as Sacramento came back with 9 rushing yards for Sacramento compared to 1 for the Lions. 202 yards net offense for BC compared to 174. Couple of turnovers going against Sacramento. But the Gold Miners closed the gap in time of possession. So it is 20-9 or 20-11. The Lions with a 9-point lead.
Oh, you saw statistically there the Gold Miners committing 2 turnovers. You know, they are still +1 in the takeaway giveaway category over the course of the season, and that's pretty impressive when you consider they've only won 3 games.
Second half kickoff taken by Titus Dixon. And a hole opens up for Dixon. A penalty marker comes down behind the play. Europe leading the BC tacklers, and Dixon is out near the 42. David Archer, solid finish to the opening half after a shaky start. 12 of 20 for 186 yards. Danny Barrett 15 of 23 for 206.
I don't think it's any secret for David Archer when he gets time to throw. I mean, he can be very effective, and that really was the story of the first half for him on his 12 completions.
Holding penalty against Sacramento. That's the first penalty for the Gold Miners, and they will begin just outside the 25. To the near side, and Pringle can't hang on. He should have made the catch there.
And that's a terrific offensive scheme for them. They faked that counter trap that is their best running play, and then Pringle is out in the flat wide open. James West can't get out there quickly enough, but you know, he just couldn't hang on to the football. And those are killers because, I mean, they couldn't have executed that play any better. Pringle just has to hang on to it.
Second and 10. Sacramento. Shotgun formation. Archer pumps once, comes back to the near side. Oliphant makes the catch. Les Brown on the tackle, and he stops him short of a first down. Oliphant almost broke that. But a good defensive play by Les Brown.
David Archer a little fooled by the coverage there. BC gave it a real man look at the initial start of the play, but then dropped into his zone, and as Oliphant comes across, Les Brown with the good tackle to keep him short of the first down. So if you've got Les Brown playing for you, got the whole package.
Pete Gardere standing at his 20. He's kicking well. This is Turner at the Lions 30. And nowhere to go for Turner, who's had a couple of rather sensational returns tonight. Lions will start out near the 30-yard line. 6-yard return after a 46-yard punt. Enter Danny Barrett. 21 touchdowns on the season for Barrett, and that is a personal high. Alexander to the near side. Number 88, Darren Flutie. Flank to the far side of the field. Early movements. And it looks like a procedure call against BC.
Run.
That's the indication from referee Ken Lazarek.
There's Big Jim Mills, number 66. He was voted the the lineman of the week this week in Canadian football for his effort in the big win over Saskatchewan last week, protecting Danny McManus.
Solid 50-28 victory. And Flutie makes the catch on first down. He's out across midfield. Stop made by the safety, John Wiley.
Well, this BC Lion receiving core really is solid. Darren Flutie, well, I think the thing that has impressed me as much as anything tonight is his ability to get some extra yardage after he's caught the football in traffic tonight. And well, he picked up about an extra 8 or 9 yards after he caught that post. Good night for him. 573.
27 yards in the previous play. The Lions out across midfield at the Sacramento 54. Barrett under the cover. John Volpe was the intended receiver. I think the Lions on target to be the first team with 4 1,000-yard receivers in Canadian football.
And speaking of 1,000 yards, Ray Alexander has surpassed that mark tonight with his 58 catches, and that is the 4th time that he has been able to do that in his career. You know, he missed a few games with bad ribs, came back with a flurry last week. 8 catches for 148 yards was the #1 target for McManus. Another good night tonight.
Yeah, tonight 4 for 81 for Alexander. 2nd and 10. Matt Clark was the intended receiver. And Wallace, number 24, was covering.
Well, once again, tremendous amount of time for Danny Barrett to pick out a receiver. That's, again, his secondary receiver. He wanted to go to the other side, to Flutie's side, but he was covered. And well, when you have that amount of time, certainly good things are going to happen. That was pretty good coverage by Jason Wallace, though.
Nice average for Lou Pasaglia this evening. Early in the 3rd quarter, the BC Lions leading 20-11 on the Sacramento Gold Miners. Not deep. Taken near the 22-yard line. Thompson is brought down by Zach Allen, number 44. 14-yard return, 33-yard punt for Lou Pasaglia. It's the Lions by 9 on the CFL Live from Vancouver. A little Looney celebration yesterday at BC Place. Lions owner Bill Comrie in the middle, awarding Loonies to 3 of his players. Danny Barrett gets 601 for his record night passing. Lou Pasaglia for his 600th field goal, and Rob Smith 200 Loonies for his 200th game.
Yeah, and they all came in those buckets there, and a very nice gesture by the new owner of the BC Lions, Bill Comrie. I wonder if that came out of the tills from the brick stores, too.
Oh, I'm sure indirectly it did.
Collect those loonies and put them in pails until they had enough.
I think Bill's found out there's more money in furniture than there is in football.
Yeah, well, he knew that getting into this, but it's amazing what solid ownership can do for a football club, and he's provided that for the BC Lions.
And the Lions have really turned things around this year. On first down, Sacramento, Pringle has about 5 yards. That's Mike Pringle, number 27. Ty Jones and Zach Allen making the stop on Mike Pringle. Played a little bit with the Edmonton Eskimos a couple of years ago. They call it a gain of 4, 2nd and 6. Sacramento just shy of the Gold Miners' 40-yard line. Rod Harris to the near side, number 81. Here's Archer on the roll left. Sideline pass, and he has Charles Thompson, number 6. Covered by Kelly Sims. Penalty marker down. 11 yards the gain, at least if it stands. It won't stand. Holding against the Gold Miners.
Well, just as the BC Lions did in the first half, Sacramento trying to move the pocket around a little bit to protect David Archer. I mean, I think it's a good scheme for them to use, but the BC Lions with the blitz put some pressure on, and Sacramento's gain to Charles Thompson wiped out by the holding call.
I think it's safe to say that these Gold Miners are still trying to master some of the nuances of the CFL game. Shotgun, 2nd and 10. Archer with a great arm has Harris, and Harris is short of the first down. Sims and Brown over to make the tackle on Rod Harris.
You know, that's just solid defense again by Les Brown, and it's a player who recognizes what the situation is. It's 2nd and 20, and Les Brown knows where that first down marker is. So, hey, he's going to give Rod Harris a lot of room, let him catch the football, break down, and now make the tackle. He comes up about 3 yards short, and Les Brown knows that they're going to have to punt the football. That's just his awareness of the game and understanding each situation and how he has to react to it. I mean, he's had a solid game tonight.
High punt. Lonnie Turner chased back to the 15. He's been great on returns for BC and almost broke another one. He's head across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. Jolson leading the tacklers for Sacramento. There's a marker down. Holding against BC. The Lions will have a first down. 53-yard punt that time. .10:09 to play in the third quarter with the Lions hanging on to a 9-point lead. It's 20-11.
Now, it's funny, John, a lot of the Sacramento people that are in town for this game today, their radio and television people were asking me, how come there is not a quarterbacking controversy here in BC with Barrett and McManus, when every time McManus has played, he's played so well? And simply, it is just common knowledge. Barrett is the #1 guy, and Danny McManus, the consummate professional, is the backup. And when he gets his opportunities, it's just nice that he has played so well, but no controversy at all.
Volpe gets the call. He's stopped after a gain of a couple. McManus has won both starts for British Columbia this year. When you look at Danny McManus's record in Canadian football as a starter, he is 8-0, starting with Winnipeg and with British Columbia. But he is a happy guy and content to fill out his role with the Lions.
And those were his numbers a week ago in a near flawless performance at Taylor Field. 8-0, pretty impressive.
2nd and 8. Barrett is impressive too. On target for Ray Alexander. Out to the 30 in front of Bobby Humphrey, who got over to make the tackle.
What a lift he gave this club last week when he gave back into the lineup with his super performance. He is the big play receiver in that group, receiver with the most speed, and tough guy for corners throughout the league to try and cover. Good target too at 6'4".
8 for 148 for Alexander last week. No touchdowns, however. Mike Trevathan caught 2 passes for touchdowns. Barrett on first down. Clark makes the catch. He's out across the 42, and that'll be another Lion first down. Wallace made the stop, and Barrett is picking apart the Sacramento secondary.
Matt Clark, watch him work back to the quarterback. I think his discipline is so evident there. He doesn't just sit down once he's made his break. He keeps coming back to Danny Barrett and keeps that separation that he's created between himself and the defensive back.
12-yard gain, setting the Lions up at the 42. Again, Barrett, another first down. Matt Clark makes the catch near the 55. Derek Davis, number 22, was covering on Matt Clark.
Watch Darren Flutie and Matt Clark trade places, and as Flutie goes to the flat, it's just a quick post in here to Matt Clark, and you watch Flutie, he takes his man to the flat, and as soon as Matt Clark clears number 21, Junior Robinson, the ball is in the air, and that is a perfectly executed flat with the post in behind it.
Barrett on first down again. This is Flutie. He makes the catch, and he's inbound. Humphrey was covering on Darren Flutie, and Flutie picks up 38.
And he runs the out and up on Bobby Humphrey, and it's the pump fake by Danny Barrett as Flutie goes to the out that really fools Bobby Humphrey. He bites on it, and then Darren Flutie, unimpeded, is able to get up the field, and nicely thrown ball by Barrett. He stays in bounds, makes the catch, and pretty large play for the BC Lions.
38-yard gain, setting the Lions up at the Sacramento 17.
And that's what all those out patterns accomplished earlier in the game. They were setting that one up.
Shotgun, Danny Barrett. End zone toss. Turner got turned around. There's a marker down in the BC backfield. Wallace was covering on Turner. Penalties going against Sacramento for rough play on Barrett, roughing the passer.
Well, you look at the night that Darren Flutie is having tonight, too. 6 catches already, 111 yards, and it's getting him up close to the 900-yard range. And chatting with him, he desperately wants to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. Very important to him.
Coming into the game with 773, so he's definitely on target. First and goal to go. Barrett, and Barrett is down. Loose ball. Ledbetter got the hit on Danny Barrett. Mark Ledbetter, number 73, came streaking through, and it'll be a first down. Sacramento on the recovery.
We talked about this earlier in the game, John. This is the one adjustment that really has paid off for Sacramento defensively, is to move Ledbetter, who was their leading sacker, from defensive end back to linebacker, which is his natural position. And what they accomplished is to have 4 good down linemen, but better linebackers rushing the passer. And he creates that fumble there, and the Sacramento Gold Miners snuff out a pretty good-looking BC drive.
Mark Ledbetter, big play for Sacramento to keep the Gold Miners right in this one. Ledbetter through to get to Danny Barrett from Vancouver. CFL Live. .640 to go, third quarter. The Sacramento Gold Miners are hanging tough against the BC Lions. Big play by Mark Ledbetter causes a turnover, and Sacramento gets the ball back to begin. First down at the 25. Archer on target. That's Harris, and Harris breaks one and lost the ball. Who comes up with it? Looks like Sacramento. Sims coming up to make the tackle, or slow Harris down at least. The ball came loose, but the Gold Miners appear to have it.
Yeah, I think Rod Harris got his own fumble back to keep this one going, but he has been the most explosive player for Sacramento tonight, obviously, and Archer has looked his way a number of times. And these are the passes that are very easy for Archer to complete. He had protection, a quick post to Rod Harris, and some pretty good running ability after that. Pretty lucky to get this one back.
Yeah, and rolled right to Harris and Titus Dixon. Archer on first down. And that one a little underthrown for Joe Johnson, with Sims covering once more.
And Kelly Sims really has that uncanny ability to not even see the football, but know when the receiver is making his play on it and getting a hand in it. See how he just turned his head at the last fraction because he knew Johnson was making the move. When Johnson's hands go out, that's when Kelly Sims' hands go out, when he can't see the football. That's the second time tonight he's been flawless in his coverage like that. Dave Ritchie's ties go way back because he was head coach at the University of Cincinnati, and he knew all about Kelly Sims and was very glad to get him in here 2 games ago.
Sims making, yes, his third start. Shotgun, 2nd and 10. Archer looks long, far side. Brigance away back on the coverage that time on Pringle.
You know, normally you would say, hey, that's a matchup that we like, our running back against their linebacker, but in this case, O.J. Brigance with some very, very good speed to stay with Pringle all the way down the sidelines. And, you know, he too, when the hands go up, that's when he makes his move and actually hits him in the back. So Brigance tied for the league lead in sacks, but also pretty good at his pass coverage.
Speed definitely an asset for O.J. Brigance, and a big play there.
Yeah, he's got lots of that, lots of speed. He's tied with Tim Caulfield and Alfred Payton of the Bombers. They all have 15 sacks each.
Third down in a punting situation. Pete Goddard. Turner on the return. And he has about 6 yards, getting across the 20 to about the 21. 4:58 remaining in the third quarter at the stadium at BC Place. It's a 9-point game on CFL Live. Back live at BC Place. Shaken up on the punt return. Lonnie Turner, number 21 for the Lions. See if we can see what happened here.
Kind of tough to tell as he made this return. Mike Oliphant, 33, gets the first shot right in there. It could have been number 23, Walter Bailey, who came in a little late there and got a shot in. And I believe it's the rib area that they're working on Lonnie Turner. Tough to see him not back in the game. He's really been an effective player for the Lions as they use him primarily in passing situations. He comes in as the 5th receiver, replacing the running back John Volpe.
And earlier caught his 2nd touchdown of the season from Danny Barrett.
Got the nice hat there. The helmet and the hat. It's the new look, I guess. 1993. Is it cold in here? I don't know.
I don't think it's too cold in here. I remember you used to wear a toque in Saskatchewan under your hat.
Not during the game, I didn't. After the game. But I don't know. A little different these days. Not a bad night for our buddy Danny Barrett. 20 of 29, 315 yards. Boy, you look back to that Toronto Argonaut game when he had 601 yards, setting a single game passing record. Kind of an unlikely guy to do it. You'd kind of think of maybe a Flutie or somebody like that, but what a great night he had.
Yeah, that record stood previously for 39 years, held by Sam Etcheverry. Here's Barrett. There's Mike Trevathan sliding to make the catch, getting up to make the first down. Mike Trevathan. He'll be over 1,000 yards before the season is done. 17 on that play.
Well, you wonder why Danny Barrett's had time to throw the football tonight. Watch Ledbetter coming in on the blitz, and Rob Smith just destroys them on that play-action fake. And, of course, that allowed Danny Barrett to pick out Trevathan. But the BC Lions had a tough game blocking for their quarterbacks a few weeks ago, but they have really tightened it down since then.
On first down, a little play action, and Matt Clark, another Lion first down. Markers are down, back around the quarterback, Danny Barrett. .410 to go, 3rd quarter with BC in front, 20-11. 13 yards the gain for Clark.
Well, the way Mark Ledbetter was reacting, it looked like he maybe had a late hit. And that's, in fact, what they are calling on him. See, when you got the hands up in the air trying to explain yourself in the opposing backfield, it's kind of like you hit the quarterback a little too late, Mark.
And the Lions advance inside the Sacramento 45.
And this is not good news for Sacramento. Bobby Humphrey, their starting cornerback for the entire season, is leaving the field. So number 21, Junior Robinson, will move out to the corner, and then 24, Jason Wallace stays in, and Kip Tejeda, number 9, will make his first appearance in at the inside safety spot.
First and 10, the Lions now set up nicely at the Sacramento 44. Barrett shotgun. Here comes the heat. Barrett got it away. Great catch, Matt Clark. That'll be a Lions first down. Barrett barely got it away.
Sacramento slowly starting to get a little closer to Danny Barrett. Number 50, Corian Freeman, who came over from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, right up the middle, and he absolutely jumps over John Volpe and will make the hit on Danny Barrett. Sure didn't stop Barrett from hanging in there and finding Matt Clark, though. But slowly the Sacramento defense has adjusted their personnel. They have better people playing the linebacker spots, I believe. Corian Freeman, and he is in some pretty severe pain there on his knee. But
yeah, he hit the quarterback and got hurt.
You looked at what Sacramento has done since the beginning of the season, and they have better pass rushers in Freeman and Ledbetter at the linebacker spots than they did certainly to begin the season. Going to see a good look at Corian Freeman coming on the blitz now. He is right here. Volpe is here, and as Volpe steps up, you're going to see Freeman try and jump up and over. He makes it, but in fact, I think he hurts himself when he gets finally the pressure on Danny Barrett. But what a play that was to get up and over the top of Volpe, and you saw the hit there. Well, you give Danny Barrett credit to stand in, take the hit, and throw a strike.
Corian Freeman came over from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers just last week. Ironically, he has the longest interception return of the season, 96 yards. against Sacramento back on August the 21st.
And not an unfamiliar place for him to play. He played with the Sacramento Surge last season before he came to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, so they certainly were familiar with what he could do.
Dorian Freeman in considerable pain as he heads to the Sacramento bench. 3:39 to play, third quarter. Lions are 1st and 10 at the Sacramento 33. BC leading by 9.
And all of a sudden you got Bobby Humphrey out, now Freeman's out, so a couple of key injuries. Freeman has been pretty active for the Sacramento defense tonight.
Barrett has racked up some impressive numbers for the Lions. Standing in, looking deep, and he looked a little too deep that time. His intended receiver, Ray Alexander, thought there was a different route called for.
Now, John, I think the storyline of the game tonight is definitely the quick start that the BC Lions had in the first corner. A Les Brown interception for a touchdown. Tom Europe's interception led to a Lou Pasaglia field goal, and Flutie and Alexander both with 100-yard-plus nights, and that has been the story of this game as BC leads 20-11.
2nd and 10 Lions. Barrett has time, takes another hit, and just missed Ray Alexander. Another big hit on Danny Barrett. But he stands in. It'll be 3rd down, and Lou Pasaglia comes in. Pasaglia established another milestone last week with a 600th CFL field goal. Looking for his 605th here. 2 for 2 on the night. And they've been chip shots.
Yeah, you know, it's something you really don't talk about a great deal is the holder. And Darren Flutie's done a really nice job this year for Lou Pasaglia.
Lou is 3 for 3. And the Lions lead it 23-11. 40-yard field goal for Lou Pasaglia.
Just snuck it inside the right post. With lots of leg on this kick. Get a good look at it here. There you see when it disappears, you know it's good. That's Willie Boyer of the Sacramento Gold Miners, and he was going to be a big part of their offense tonight, but re-injured that collarbone, separated the shoulder in the second quarter of this game.
There's injury news from the BC sideline as well. Lonnie Turner took a helmet in the ribs a few minutes ago. The BC medical staff said it's unlikely that he will return.
Sacramento with a 1st down at the 35 after Lou Pasaglia's field goal. 2:44 to go, third quarter. Lions in front 23-11. Archer to Pringle, and he breaks one tackle. He has a 1st down. Mike Pringle out across the 45-yard line.
No, you usually think of Mike Oliphant being the most active running back the Sacramento Gold Miners use, but tonight Mike Pringle has really done most of the work. Oliphant coming into tonight's game over 1,000 yards with his receiving and running, but tonight the BC Lions have really put the hammer on him, and you see his total yardage of only 25 so far and almost 3/4 of football.
And Oliphant coming into the game averaging 7.2 yards per carry. 1st down. Dixon makes the catch, number 8, and that's another Sacramento 1st down. Brown makes the tackle, and Brown is a little slow to get up.
And I really like the 1st down play selection of David Archer right here. A screen to Pringle on the last one. Now that quick hitch to Rod Harris on the outside, and the easy balls to complete. They're good, or Titus Dixon make that, but easy balls to complete, good possession passing, and 1st down play selection. So key to how you are successful on offense. And here in the second half, I think Archer's done a nice job with his selection.
Derek McCready also shaken up on this play. Brown is okay for the Lions, but Derek McCready, number 79, is being attended to by the BC medical staff. Be a tough loss for the Lions if McCready is out for any length of time. He's had another solid season.
You got to love the Sacramento trainers here. They're with the injury. They're trying to sneak out and get the water bottles into the team. You know, because you can do that in the NFL, but here the referee said, no, you can't do that here. This is only an injury timeout. This isn't like the regular kind of timeout. So there they go back and they'll put the water bottles back at the bench and have to do it at the legitimate time. So there are nuances for the players to get used to, but it's also tough for the training staff.
Derek McCready appears to be okay. He'll be back shortly, I would guess. And Archer looking at first down with Tim Lorenz in for McCready. Sacramento just outside the Lions 50. Oliphant, and a good run for Oliphant. That's another Gold Miners first down.
A nice block by the right guard, number 51, Ron Shipley, the only offensive lineman that has played all 13 games, and now in their 14th game. It's going to come right at you here. There's 51 leading the way for Oliphant, and you watch him come right into your living room. He lines up James West with a good block, but nicely executed drop play. This has been a good, solid series for Sacramento offensively.
Archer in trouble, comes the other way, and he won't get away from the charge. Markers are down. Brigance and Lorenz finally getting to Archer, but there's a marker down. We'll see what the infraction is. It's against Sacramento.
When against this defense, you better be ready to throw on your normal 3 count, because you're not going to get many second chances, and that's the case right here. Archer without the mobility to get away from Brigance and 98 Tim Lorenz. But really, if you don't get it off in the normal 3 count, you can forget it against this pretty aggressive front 7.
"12-yard loss. And the Gold Miners face 2nd and 22. Into the final 30 seconds of the 3rd quarter. Archer with time. And it's tipped. Almost intercepted. West got a hand on the ball. And his old Winnipeg partner almost had an interception. Tyrone Jones was on the ground.
Well, that would have been kind of neat, James West, to tip to Tyrone Jones, but when it's 2nd and 22, it's not really a secret. You get the zone defense. Jones comes out here, and watch the range as James West comes back, and they're trying to hit the hook there, but James West with tremendous range gets the tip, and you'll see this play develop. There goes Archer on low. Now West reading his eyes, and as soon as the ball is in the air, he makes the break. Nice play.
Big punt for Gardere. It goes into the end zone, and Darren Flutie gives up a single point, which won't hurt the BC Lions very much. 23-12. A 58-yard single with 1 second remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Only 3 points scored in this quarter. Make that 4 now with this single by the Sacramento Gold Miners.
An 11-point game as it stands right now. Lions are set up first down at the 35. And Barrett is down. Rob White, number 91, through to get to Danny Barrett. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter at the stadium at BC Place. The Gold Miners have been down since the outset, but they're not finished yet. Barrett and the Lions have the lead at 23-12. Time of possession is almost even as we head into the 4th quarter, with the BC Lions leading Sacramento. Lions with 333 net yards. Slightly ahead of the Gold Miners. BC first down. Just across the 30. Barrett shotgun. Looks over the middle. Trevathan, great catch and a big hit. And there's a penalty marker down as Barrett paid the price once more. Wiley, a good hit on Trevathan. Barrett is down. There are 2 markers on the field.
That was some hit from John Wiley. See, he's turning around looking at the scoreboard. He wants to have a look and admire that one himself. And meanwhile, back in the pocket, Danny Barrett, as he delivered that football, took a pretty good shot up the middle from 91 Rob White, 71 Brent White make that.
18-yard gain will sort out the penalties here.
Yeah, you got to feel sorry for Mike Trevathan. I mean, he made an unbelievable catch and took the hit, and it comes back.
Second and 20. Barrett over the middle. Flutie was the intended receiver.
You know, John, we said the difference in this game would probably be, could Sacramento put pressure on BC Lion quarterbacks? Well, Mark Ledbetter, number 73, has done his best to try and get some pressure on Barrett tonight. And although he didn't get in and get the hit, he has been constantly in the BC Lion offensive backfield.
Ledbetter was all-world with San Antonio last year in the World League in 1992.
Sacramento defense has actually played a pretty good game tonight. I think if you would say, you know, into the 4th quarter, 23 points to give up, they'd be pretty happy with that. And although the offense, you know, really gave up 10 of those 23.
Lou Pasaglia tries to angle this one. Johnson on the return, and he is grabbed by the first Lion upfield and held to a 3-yard return. Kelly Sims leading the way for the BC Lions in his 3rd game. The tackle on Joe Johnson. Another look as we take a break at the stadium at BC Place with the Lions in front, 23-12. Into the 4th quarter, and there's the story. The Lions in front, 23-12. Tonight's TSN Turning Point following the game brought to you by Apple Auto Glass. Guaranteed the pick of the crop from coast to coast.
Some things in life are perfectly clear. Repairing your windshield instead of replacing it makes sense. An unrepaired windshield becomes 50 pounds of unrecyclable garbage. Let Apple repair that stone chip and do your part for the environment.
Apple Auto Glass.
Expansion records looking back to 1949. The Eskimos had a tough go at 4-10. Sacramento standing at 3-10 in 93. And remember the BC Lions in 54. Anis Stukas was the coach, and they were 1-15. That was the last CFL expansion, 1954, prior to Kay Stevenson and the Gold Miners arriving in Canadian football.
A tough year for Kay. I don't think people realize just, you know, when you had to put a team together so quickly with very inexperienced players, it has taken them longer to mature than I think the experts thought it would take.
As he looks for players right now, he has 17 who were not on the roster at the beginning of the season. Dixon couldn't make the catch. Titus Dixon and Mike Oliphant in the area. There's a penalty marker down.
Well, they could have called it in a couple of areas. It was either Andre Francis or Tyrone Jones. Both with their own men were creating some contact while that ball was in the air.
Dave Ritchie at 9-5 in his first season with the BC Lions. Lost 2 in a row and then one big last week against the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, this is the kind of a game that makes a coach like Dave Ritchie nervous. You know, you got the 23-12 lead, but it really hasn't been a comfortable game for BC the entire night.
Penalty is against the Lions. 1st and 10, and Jones is right on top of David Archer. Fourth sack by the BC Lions. 59 given up by Sacramento on the season.
Yeah, Tyrone Jones has just had a whale of an evening come. You know, he's played 2 trap plays so well, running it down from behind, and makes it kind of tough on the quarterback when nobody blocks a Tyrone Jones, and he gets the sack. There you see his positioning. All-time CFL sack leaders.
7-yard loss on the 4th sack of the night, given up by Sacramento. Second and a bunch, and Archer underthrew that one far side of the field. Harris was the intended receiver.
And the Sacramento offense has really put themselves in a bind a number of times. These 2nd and 20 situations, I mean, you just can't get it done as an offense. BC very willing to sit back and play deep zone coverages against it. And you know, Sacramento gives up the sacks or the penalties and finds themselves in these situations. It's going to be difficult to pull this game out.
Lions have the lead at 23-12. Sacramento in a punting situation once more. Pete Gardere. He's been punting well. This is Darren Flutie back to his 5. And Flutie has nowhere to go. Loose ball, and I think the Lions get it right back. 51-yard punt, Lee.
Yeah, it's a great punt. Gardere's had a nice night kicking the football and is able to pin the BC Lions deep in their own territory. Let's go back and have a look at that sack by Tyrone Jones right here. I mean, like nobody comes out to block at him as Archer comes back to pass. The sack is created right there, but I mean, you know, if you're a quarterback and you don't get time to throw like this and nobody makes any attempt to pick up the blitzing Tyrone Jones, it makes for a long evening. And well, you wonder why Archer's taking a pounding this year. That's a great example of why right there. He's like a kid tonight.
He is playing very, very well.
Oh, he's played probably the best game this season that he has played. You see his buddy beside him, James West. 2 of them tonight, outstanding.
Lions are pinned back at the 4-yard line. A good opportunity for the Sacramento defense here. Barrett on 1st down. Near side. Clark made the catch. There's a penalty marker down. Clark in front of Junior Robinson. 12 yards the gain, and that's a big catch for the Lions if in fact the penalty goes the other way.
Yeah, that's a terrific throw by Danny Barrett too, running to his left, the most difficult side to throw to for a right-handed quarterback on the run. And watch how he stands in, takes the hit, and delivers a strike to Matt Clark. The Sacramento team was called for interference as well, so the play will stand.
Penalty declined.
Maybe a little holding up front, but if you don't get called, I guess it doesn't matter.
11:37 to go, 4th quarter at the stadium at BC Place. Lions 1st and 10 at the 16.
Yeah, and a crucial series for them to protect this lead. You know, they need to make about 2 or 3 first downs to try and at least reestablish the field position.
Barrett for Volpe, and Volpe stopped in his tracks. 5 carries for 5 yards. John Volpe is not having much success tonight.
Well, you couple that with last week, you know, you're talking 22 carries for 30 yards totally. And, you know, it's not John Volpe's fault entirely. You got to have the blocking up front. It just hasn't materialized. But really, I think biggest surprise since he has returned is that it just hasn't been had the productivity that I think you might expect.
This is only his 4th game. Injuries have been a big part of Volpe's season in 1993. 2nd and 9, and Volpe can't make the catch.
See, and that's the difference with the injury to Lonnie Turner. On 2nd and long, Lonnie Turner would have been in the game as the 5th receiver. Volpe has to stay in. He's not nearly the receiver Turner is, and the Lions don't keep that drive going, have to give it back to Sacramento.
Gold Miners are hanging in. You know, you look back to the very opening play for the Sacramento offense. The interception return for the touchdown for Les Brown tossed that out of the game. And Sacramento has been very close all night long. It's still only an 11-point difference right now.
You and I wondered how BC would react after their big win last week. And, you know, I don't think they're flat tonight, but I think you have to give Sacramento credit defensively. They've played a pretty solid game.
Lou Pasaglia standing inside his 5. This is Johnson picking it up right at midfield and returning it to the Lions 45. So the Gold Miners will have great field position to begin this drive. 10-yard return, 38-yard punt for Lou Pasaglia. The CFL live from the stadium at BC Place. 10:18 to play. Vancouver, and we'll be in Winnipeg at the stadium there to see the Gold Miners against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next Friday, 8:30 Eastern kickoff time. Hey, the Bombers are on a roll. Clinch top spot in the CFL East. They've been playing great football.
Yeah, they really looked good last weekend. Demolished the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Good. That was superb. 61-10.
Yeah.
Sacramento shotgun formation. Archer swings it out for Pringle. Away from one. And he's finally slowed by Zach Allen, number 44. James West was hanging on all the way, and so was Les Brown.
Tyrone Jones has had some kind of evening tonight. We're going to take a look at him here. The left guard, Diaz Infante, tries to make the block, but Tyrone spins away. Doesn't get in on Archer on the quick pass, but well, he is like a kid playing this game tonight with a lot of zest and zeal.
Gain was 7. This is 2nd and 3, Sacramento. Archer to his right, and he was a little low on the throw intended for Titus Dixon. Kelly Sims got a hand on it, I think.
Kelly Sims had a great game, and you know, to ask an inside safety to follow a speedy receiver like Dixon all the way across the field is really a tall order, but Kelly Sims has been equal to that challenge all night long. He's had that's about his 4th good solid knockdown tonight, and once again, when things are looking a little dicey for the BC Lions, the defense comes up with a pretty good stand.
Gold Miners will look for a field goal here. Jim Crouch.
It's funny, John, how you see a player, you know, and you just know right away, even though he's young, he's going to be good. And I'll tell you, I can't believe how quickly this Kelly Sims has developed into one of the better inside halfbacks in the league.
Crouch from the 45, his longest on the season, 42, and that's where it will remain at 42. He is wide on that one. So add 1 to the Gold Miners total. 3 would have made it a little more interesting into the final 9:02. Jim Crouch coming into the game good on 25 of 38, about 65% of his field goals, but now it's a 10-point game. 23-13, 9:02 to play.
Leaf, to be honest with you, I'm not sure I understand that. You had 3rd and 3, and you know you're probably out of your field goal kicker's range. Why not go for it?
Well, you know, it's not a bad call, Gord. You know, you look at Sacramento's season, they're not going anywhere, so I'm kind of surprised they maybe don't take a few chances like that. But Kay Stevenson, kind of an NFL philosophy there of if you're not close enough, we're going to kick it. I kind of agree with you, though.
First down for the Lions. Here's Barrett. Looking to his right and firing on the run. He's off target for Darren Flutie. Humphrey was covering. Barrett has had a solid night. And he has the Lions in the lead at 23-13.
Well, I think, you know, that has been a bit of a difference in this game. You know, the Sacramento Gold Miners have had a couple of sacks tonight and had some pretty good pressure on Barrett. Give Barrett credit, though. He has really stood in that pocket, delivered some strikes, and taken some shots while doing so.
Nowhere to go after Millington made the catch. That was Pascal Davis, number 95.
Of course, he came in to replace Corey and Freeman, and did he ever read that screen in a hurry? So both defenses here in the 4th quarter at critical times coming up with some key plays. Rivera trying to dump off that screen to Sean Millington, but who's waiting right there is Pascal Davis, number 95, with the good hit. You know, this is really one of these typical Sacramento games where, you know, they're trailed by 10. They've been in the hunt really since halfway through the 1st quarter. And one of these times you have to think that they're going to get over the hump. Will it be tonight? I don't know.
They'll need a big play, I think, to get by the Lions tonight, who lead it by 10 at this stage. Busaglia kicking to the far side, and then it takes a crazy bounce. Johnson on the return, beginning at his 30. He's to about the 34. 7:38 to play. 4th quarter at BC Place. The Lions by 10 on the CFL Live. BC Lions opened the scoring with 13 in the first quarter. Sacramento back, outscoring the Lions 10-7 in the second. Not much in the third, and only 1 point in the fourth. Is it true that Crouch just missed the kicking net on the sidelines?
Come on.
No, I'm sorry.
That's mean. Did he?
I'm not sure. Somebody muttered that, but I'm not sure that it's true.
You know, it's tough though for a team when the kicker is not connecting, and you're doing your best to try and pull out a win, and you don't get those points. Kind of wears on you after a while. And David Archer might be thinking, hey, I can't rely on these field goals, and he might take a few more chances than normal, knowing that his kicker's not having a good night. Missed the net. That's brutal.
Gold Miners first down, beginning at the 34. Archer looking deep near side. Harris was the intended receiver, number 81.
Yeah, John, it's really going badly for a kicker when Jim Crouch, just practicing on the sidelines, hit the little upright thing that holds the net in place.
No, you're kidding.
Kind of missed it. No, I'm serious.
Oh well.
It's tough.
Yeah, he's not a happy kicker right now. 2nd and 10. Archer just got it away, and almost a great catch by Johnson, number 89. Sims was covering, number 3, and Johnson almost got the Gold Miners out of a deep hole. 7:03 to go, fourth quarter. Lions have the lead by 10. The Lions have not dominated tonight, but they have the lead.
I think you look at David Archer as a first-year quarterback and what he's been able to accomplish. He certainly had some NFL experience, and see how he ranks among other quarterbacks in the league in their first years, and certainly ahead of everybody else. But yeah, he is a rookie in the CFL, but not a rookie for pro experience. So maybe that is one of the reasons why. Although Flutie came into the league with pro experience too.
Archer 3rd overall among CFL passers, and here's the other Flutie, Darren. Looking for room far side. There's not much there. Back to Archer, 275 yards this night. So that's a decent evening. Danny Barrett has outdueled him, however, and with 6:40 to go, Barrett looks to hang on to a 10-point lead. A win would move the Lions to 10-5, and what a turnaround that is from a year ago.
Well, it really has been the real success story in the CFL this year has been the turnaround of the BC Lions. It's kind of fun to watch, hasn't it?
It has. 3-11 after 14 games last year. Barrett on first down, and he lets this one fly. Just missed Matt Clark. Threw that one a long way. Wiley and Junior Robinson were trying to cover Matt Clark.
It really is a new look offense for the BC Lions, and Joe Paopao calling all the plays, because normally with 6 minutes to go in a lead, you'd think the Lions would try and just run that clock out with the good running game they've had the last 3 years, but it's kind of changed a little bit, and Danny Barrett and Danny McManus throwing the ball a lot more than they have in the past.
3 receivers to the near side. Barrett shotgun. Clark again, and that one just off the mark for Matt Clark.
Pretty good strategy by the Sacramento secondary too. That's the time they went with 7 defensive backs and have solid man-to-man coverage on the BC Lion receivers, and they still have a couple of extra guys to kind of playing zone coverage in behind it. So a good strategy at that point in time with 5:55 to go to try and fool Danny Barrett, which he did, and get the ball back for their offense.
Louis had a good night. Wind has not been a factor.
If you're a kicker, you got to love kicking in this place.
Saglia standing back to his 27. Markers are down. Johnson on the return. Cuts it back. Didn't fool many BC Lions. He grabbed a couple of yards on the return. Hocking in on the tackle. 5-yard return. 36-yard punt. And Lou Saglia talking it over with referee Ken Lazarick. 30,615. You know, the Sacramento Gold Miners have been a decent draw in their first season in Canadian football.
Yeah, they have. And of the 30,615, every single one got a very nice BC Lions hat tonight to wear. Compliments of the BC Lion football team. I guess he likes his hat better, the guy holding it up there.
Yeah, I don't know why he would wear his new one. Maybe he's saving it to put in the back of the car, you know, in the window there. 5:27 remaining fourth quarter. The Lions by 10. Sacramento offside. That was the penalty. So Pasaglia gets another opportunity. And not much difference as it rolls out at the 35. 29-yard punt, no return. And into the final 5 minutes now for the BC Lions and the Sacramento Gold Miners. Sacramento with a 3-10 record. There have been a lot of near misses for David Archer in the Gold Miners during the season. They've lost 4 games by a total of 8 points. They lost by 2 to Calgary and by 1 to Edmonton at an earlier stage this season, or else they might have been in the playoff hunt at this stage.
Yeah, and of course, this is another one of those games where they really have been in good position to pull out a win, but it just seems as though every time they get a little closer, the BC Lion defense has tightened up and made some good plays, but still with a little under 5 minutes to go, the Sacramento Gold Miners only 10 points down. 4:53 an eternity in this game.
And rarely has Archer had a same set of receivers in his lineup. There have been constant changes out there. That for Titus Dixon, a little short.
Yeah, pretty tentative throw there by David Archer too. He had Dixon open and good sight lines downfield, but just could not deliver it. Mike Pringle being asked upon to block the sack leader in the CFL, and that's a pretty good job right there.
2nd and 10. Archer stands in, and this time he has Johnson. Johnson out across midfield, and that's plenty for a first down. Eddie Taylor made the tackle.
And that's what the Sacramento Gold Miners are going to have to do. Play after play now has come up with the key catch. Joe Johnson, who has a touchdown tonight, working against Eddie Taylor over the middle, and he hangs on, makes the key catch on a 2nd and long situation. And each and every play now so crucial for Sacramento.
24 yards in the previous play, and that should have been intercepted. Andre Francis had it in his mitts and couldn't hang on. There's a penalty marker far side of the field.
Well, you look at Andre Francis and Les Brown, these two corners. I mean, you know, they're watching the guy that they're covering, but they always sneak a peek into the backfield. And as he comes back here, you're going to see the hook. He's breaking on the football before it even goes in the air. It's almost like he was in the Sacramento huddle when they said, hey, Harris, you're going to run the hook, and it's like Andre Francis knew it. Do you see how fast he's in front of the receiver before the ball even gets there? And you can only do that when you can keep one eye on your receiver and one eye into the backfield. And Andre Francis and Les Brown do that as well as any corners in the league.
Tim Lorenz, the injured BC Lion, number 98. Derek McCready was shaken up earlier along that BC front three. Lorenz seems to be okay, and he'll likely be back in action shortly. 4:08 to play.
You know, you have to look at guys like Francis and Brown, and are they being tipped off by something that David Archer is doing? Is he just setting up at the pocket, and all he's doing is looking at his primary receiver? And of course, you know, that's what Andre Francis is seeing. And what a heck of a play. He should have had the interception there. Had a big one last week for a touchdown against Saskatchewan. Back-to-back weeks, eh? Both corners have interceptions for TDs. That's kind of impressive.
6 on the season for Francis. That one wouldn't have counted anyway because it was offside against the Lions, and that makes this 1st and 5. Archer away from the first wave and looks for Dixon. Francis has the interception. That's number 7 on the year for Francis. His previous best, 7. And he's done that 2 times. Make that 3 times now.
And this is one of these throws where Archer knows that the coverage is there. He's just hoping that Titus Dixon can maybe go up and fight for that football, but Francis with the perfect position, and yeah, he gets the interception there.
And that's a little more spectacular, that one.
Well, the BC Lion defense, when they've been called upon to come up with a big play tonight, they have been able to do so. Andre Francis, now the sole leader in interceptions in the CFL with his 7th.
Another injured BC Lion, number 44, Zach Allen, being attended to. 3:44 left on the clock. It is the Lions leading by 10 at 23-13. Tough night on these ball players. There have been several injuries. A couple of players out of the game already.
Now, John, you look back on that play with David Archer, and really a ball that maybe earlier in the game he wouldn't throw, but with 3:44 to go and you're down by 10, he was just hoping to take a shot here and hoping his receiver would outfight the defensive back for it. Let's maybe go and pick up Zach Allen, 44, and as he comes up.
Archer just gets it away.
But Dixon was not able to go up and fight for the football, and in fact really let Francis kind of have that one.
Zach Allen heading for the sidelines. He's got an escort. James West is along.
You look back to a few years ago when Zach Allen and both he and Brigance came into the league along with Matt Clark and Trevathan, and they went with some young guys that are really paying some dividends now.
First down, Lions. Beginning at the 25. Barrett near side, and Trevathan couldn't make the catch. Got one hand on it, directed it away from Junior Robinson.
Now once again on 2nd and 10, Sacramento will counter by bringing in number 23 Walter Bailey and number 9 Kip Tejeda. 2 linemen go out, Vance Hammond and actually Mark Ledbetter, the linebacker. So they're going for the coverage here.
Big play by Sacramento here. Could still ruin the BC Lions night. But Barrett has plenty of time. Through behind Trevathan. And Walter Bailey had a little bit of a chance to make an interception there, number 23.
And what this 7 defensive back scheme does is Walter Bailey can come up and really challenge Trevathan there with the solid tight coverage, because he knows he's got help in behind from Kip Tejeda. So, like you've got 5 DBs covering 5 receivers up tight with 2 defensive backs back in zone coverage deep to help out if somebody comes free. So, Bailey makes the good play there. He knows the situation and what he can do.
Third down, and Pasaglia stands at his 10-yard line for the Lions, ready to punt. 2:54 to go in the final quarter at BC Place.
That's a scheme, John, where if the BC Lions were running the football effectively, you'd have to take advantage of having 7 DBs in there and try and stuff it down their throat.
Bouncing around for Joe Johnson. He's across midfield. And not much more than that, down to about the 53, an 8-yard return after a 36-yard punt by Lou Pasaglia. 3-minute warning out at BC Place. It's a 10-point ball game on the CFL Live.
I think it's worth noting, going back to look at this 7 defensive back system that Sacramento's using. There's Kip Tejeda right there, and Jason Wallace over here. Now, their responsibility is just to stay free, and what that does is allow defensive backs like Walter Bailey to come up and play real tight on Mike Trevathan and just kind of try and protect that area. And, Bailey really has no fear if Trevathan ever gets in behind him. He's got his buddies in behind to help him. So it's a pretty interesting scheme to try and shut down that mid-range passing game. It does so right here. Bailey all over Trevathan, and actually Barrett lucky he wasn't intercepted there. But, that's the scheme, and I said you got to take advantage of it and run the football against that.
First and 10, Sacramento. Just across midfield, Archer is down by O.J. Brigance. And for O.J., that's sack number 16. He moves into the number 1 spot ahead of Tim Cofield and Alfred Payton with this sack of David Archer.
Well, you see him just duck underneath the block of the right guard, Ron Shipley, and that is just strength and leverage and speed all combined in one. Nice sack.
2nd and 18. Rod Harris made the catch, and West made the tackle, number 56.
Really has been the downfall of the Sacramento offense tonight is the terrible situations they have put themselves in through penalty and sacks. And 5 times David Archer has been sacked. In every one of those situations, he has not been able to convert. Now with 3rd down and 11, they're in a critical situation. I think they're going to take a timeout maybe and talk it over as to what they want to do. Really, with 2 minutes to go, they're going to gamble. Actually, don't take a timeout, but this is really the ball game for them.
3rd down and 11 with 1:56 to go. Archer needs a 1st down in the worst way. Far side has Harris, and Harris is stopped short of the 1st down. Slowed by Les Brown and then nailed by Kelly Sims. So they gave him the reception, and they didn't give him any yards after he made the catch.
Well, pretty happy group in the BC Lions. This was not an oil painting type game for them tonight, but looks as though they will get the win. They will have 16 days off now to celebrate this, going to 10-5 on the season. Although it wasn't the best game they have played this year, it really was a nice way to come off that big win last week.
Joe Paopao, what a great guy. And he gets a lot of credit for the success of the BC offense. Other games in Canadian football in week 14. Winnipeg at Ottawa tomorrow. Sunday, Saskatchewan at Calgary. And then on Monday, Toronto, Hamilton. Turnovers tell a big part of the story for the Lions tonight. Sacramento has turned it over 4 times.
And 2 early ones costing for Sacramento. You know, the turnovers, they just kill the flow of the game for you, too, offensively. That has really been the case for Sacramento tonight.
1:48 remaining. Barrett has not had terrific success on his last few sequences. He's only been good on 2 of his last 11 for 10 yards. However, the numbers will look pretty good when you total everything up for Barrett. He stands at 25 of 43, 366. Archer with 315, but 3 interceptions have been costly.
Yeah, and the feature of Danny Barrett throughout his whole career is not to beat himself, and really that was the case tonight. Only 1 touchdown pass, that to Lonnie Turner, but no bad ones, no interceptions.
John Volpe caught from behind, and it has not been a terrific running night for John Volpe out of the BC backfield. Davis makes the tackle. Timeout called by Sacramento. BC Lions 8-2 when leading in the first quarter. 8-0 with the halftime lead. And 9-5 coming into this game.
Let me know if somebody come running through here. I'm gonna get them a taste of the game, all right?
Gold Miners are 0-8 when trailing after the first quarter. And they are 0 for 6 in white jerseys. 1:42 to go. Gold Miners down by 10 to the BC Lions. Lions are 2nd down. 7 to go at the 47. Pressure on Barrett. And he got it away. John Volpe looked to be the closest receiver. Barrett took a little bit of heat. No penalties anywhere. So 1:38 to go. And the Gold Miners will get it back for one last crack at trying to find a way to get 10 points for the tie.
Danny Barrett has taken a lot of shots tonight. He's been able to get the football off on most occasions, but he really has taken some hits, and Brent White got a good shot on him right there as he tried to hit John Volpe out of the backfield.
Lasaglia back at his 32 with 1:38 to play. What a great kick by Luke Lasaglia, chasing Johnson back inside his 15, and there is nowhere to go from back there. Sims leading the BC tacklers. Number 3, his name has been mentioned a lot this evening. So 1.5 minutes, and to be exact, 1:28 remaining for Sacramento quarterback David Archer. Mike Oliphant, third in rushing yards in Canadian football coming into this. Archer, third in passing. Rod Harris, a very decent 898 yards receiving. Should be among 1,000-yard receivers in Canadian football in '93. The Gold Miners have been able to manage only 3 victories in 13 games. Under the cover, this is Pringle. And he's to the 30. That'll be a first down. 9-yard gain. Well, maybe not quite a first down. We'll see where they spot it.
Well, John, for any viewers that are joining us just with a minute and 22 to go, here's the storyline of the game. The Lions capitalized quickly, 13 points in the first quarter, 10 of those on turnovers, 2 interceptions. Les Brown and Tommy Europe, 5 quarterback sacks for the Lion defense, gets them up to 45 on the year. And of course, Darren Flutie and Ray Alexander chipped in with 100-yard plus nights receiving, and that is the reason why Dave Ritchie's club enjoys a 23-13 lead and probably will see their record blossom to 10-5.
Taylor shaken up, but he looks to be okay. Kind of got squashed there.
Yeah, his buddy James West kind of squashed him on the way down. I think he'll be all right. Tom Europe will move out to the halfback spot, and of course, Michael Allen, the veteran, will come in with the safety.
Minute 22 to go. It's a 10 points advantage for the BC Lions. And 2nd and 1 for Sacramento. Archer himself, that should be a first down. Coming into the game, the Gold Miners were 3rd in the CFL in average yards per game at just under 400, 393. Archer on target for Charles Thompson. And that's a big gain out across the 50 to about the 52. Sims in on the tackle, 22 yards the gain. It's not quite over for the Gold Miners yet, but they need 10 points.
Yeah, a heck of a hit by number 26, Michael Allen, who's just come into the ball game, and nice way to come in. He really unloads on Thompson, but to his credit, that's a pretty good catch.
Dixon escapes, and he's inside the 35 at about the 33. 26 yards on the hurry-up offensive scheme being engineered by Archer now.
Archer doing a good job in a heads-up play by Titus Dixon to get the max he can get out of that reception and then get out of bounds to stop the clock, so it will not start until the snap of the football.
55 seconds to go. The Gold Miners are down by 10 at 23-13. Archer. And good coverage by Taylor. No penalty marker anywhere. Johnson was the intended receiver.
Boy, Eddie Taylor just timed it perfectly. He was just sitting on the hip, and as soon as the ball arrived, there goes in the right hand to make the knockdown. And you know, I'm just guessing, but I suspect the BC Lions secondary's had close to 10 knockdowns tonight in this game to go along with some interceptions. That's a pretty impressive night for a group that kind of struggled early in the year, and especially at the inside safety spots. But with Eddie Taylor and Kelly Sims, all of a sudden this has become a very, very solid BC Lions secondary. You know, you couple that with Sean Foudy, who was going to be a big addition. He's been out with various injuries, but Tom Europe's come in and done a heck of a job filling in for Foudy.
49 seconds remaining. 2nd and 10. Sacramento. Archer shotgun. Looking for Dixon. He makes the catch. He has the touchdown. Andre Francis beaten by Titus Dixon. 33-yard touchdown strike from David Archer. And now it gets a little bit interesting with 43 seconds to go.
And Titus Dixon, to his credit, really didn't make a move on this football till the last second. You know, Francis is looking to see when Dixon's going to put his arms up. He never did until the last split second, and Francis couldn't recover and try and knock it down. So Dixon with the key touchdown catch, and hang on to your hat.
Yeah, this one is not over yet now, folks. 3rd touchdown of the season for Titus Dixon. 43 seconds left on the clock. Crouch makes the convert. It's a 3-point game, and he does. So just 3 points separating Sacramento from the British Columbia Lions, and 43 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, without a timeout left, there's no question Sacramento will try the onside kick with only 43 seconds to go. So there is rather a little ray of hope for the Sacramento Gold Miners fans that have made the trip. They usually bring about 40, 50 people.
6 plays to cover 90 yards. Time 45 seconds, and Titus Dixon made the touchdown catch.
Yeah, that was a good catch too. Like he really fooled Andre Francis. He just didn't look or do anything until the ball was right there, and Francis had no chance to break it up.
So Richie may still need the Rolaids before this is over.
I thought they were home and cooled a few minutes ago, but the way the clock stops after each play in the CFL really makes the last few minutes of a game last for an eternity for the team that's trying to kill the clock.
Dixon on the night, 4 for 79 yards and 1 touchdown.
So the ball game will probably come down to what I think is probably the most exciting play in football. It's the onside kick. And the way Jim Crouch is teeing it up, and he's got all the speed guys. James Pruitt out wide on his right. It's going to be a little floater.
He took it in the air! James Pruitt! That is absolutely amazing. James Pruitt, the Sacramento Gold Miners, with 39 seconds to go.
And he took it away from Matt Clark, who was in there to try and get it. And James Pruitt, the right guy on the outside to have. He's 6'3", and he's a wide receiver. And this is executed to perfection.
I've never seen it before like this, Lee.
Oh, yeah, I have. It's a nice high kick, and Pruitt takes it away from Matt Clark. And all of a sudden, the Sacramento Gold Miners are 1 play away from tying this game, and with a great shot to win it.
There is an opportunity, a ray of hope.
And let me tell you, when you're 3-10, if I'm David Archer, I'm thinking I want to win this game right now. I don't want to leave it up to Jim Crouch to get me into overtime. I want to do it right now.
Sacramento set up with a first down at the 26. Archer looks to the corner. Oh!
He dropped it.
Absolutely amazing. Harris was in the clear and couldn't hang on. He was in behind Les Brown, and David Archer has to wonder what he has to do to win a football game.
I can't believe it. He couldn't have thrown the ball any better here, and a tremendous pattern by Rod Harris on the post corner.
Would have been a tough catch.
I'll tell you what, he's not going to sleep for 2 days.
'87. Pruitt comes in. Harris goes out. Harris slightly shaken up. 32 seconds to go. The Lions lead by 3. Sacramento a chance for the win on this play here. Touchdown! Joe Johnson, number 89, second touchdown of the game. And he's a backup. He beat Eddie Taylor, and the Gold Miners have the lead for the first time. What a great finish. 26 seconds on the clock, and David Archer has really come up with a clutch performance.
That's a great pattern by number 89, Joe Johnson. They get good protection for Archer to form a lovely pocket for him, and Scribner just can't get his arm up there to tip it. Johnson on the post corner on Taylor. And the Sacramento Gold Miners, can you believe it? What a great comeback this has been.
Jim Crouch makes the converts. 26 seconds remain. Joe Johnson with a game-winning touchdown, perhaps. Well, here's another look. The Lions have 26 seconds to answer it.
Yeah, the key was the protection for Archer and great sight lines downfield to pick up Joe Johnson. And all of a sudden, that electrifying catch of the onside kick by James Pruitt sets up the touchdown pass from Archer to Joe Johnson in a matter of seconds. The Sacramento Gold Miners lead 27-23.
The Gold Miners are picking up some nuances of Canadian football. The onside kick worked to perfection there.
Well, you know, Joe Johnson has been a backup receiver really with Sacramento, only playing in certain situations. You know, he and I were talking before the game. He didn't like it because he just felt he couldn't get in the rhythm of a football game. But, boy, he saved his best for the last tonight as he runs the corner on Taylor for the touchdown, his second of the night. And the Sacramento Gold Miners, you know, we talked about this before the game. This is not a team that will lie down and play dead for you. You know, their record is a little deceiving about how hard they do play.
Yeah, they have lost 4 games by a total of 8 points in their inaugural season in Canadian football. They now have the lead on the Lions by 4. So with 26 seconds to play, the Lions need a touchdown to win. John Volpe has dropped deep for the Lions. Lonnie Turner was shaken up earlier. He had some great kick returns for BC earlier in the night. Squib kick taken by Flutie, and that's over to Volpe. And let's see what he can do. John Volpe out across the 45. Slowed at the 47. 19 seconds to go for Danny Barrett.
Yeah, no question. The play of the game is the onside kick. Here's Matt Clark, and the ball's just going to be over here. And watch Pruitt come and take it right on the run. Outfight Matt Clark for the football. But 2 keys. Get your outside guy flying down the field and put a lot of air time on that kick, which Crouch did.
Look, and he gets about 15 yards, 20 yards on the return after that.
That was beautiful.
Here's 18 seconds for Danny Barrett. He needs a touchdown. This is Volpe breaking 1 tackle, 12 seconds to go.
And the BC Lions still have a timeout. But you know, I've said it before, John, the onside kick is probably, to me, the most exciting play.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen it executed quite that well. 14 yards for Volpe. 8 seconds left for Barrett. He's down. He needs a touchdown. Alexander makes the catch. He's out of bounds. 4 seconds to go. The Lions have 1 chance to get to the end zone.
And with the Sacramento secondary in a prevent defense, Alexander wide open on the sidelines stops the clock. So really, in effect, the BC Lions have 1 play left. They will take a timeout, go over and discuss it. Danny Barrett will have a chat with Joe Paupau, I'm sure, to decide how they want to try and work this one from the 28-yard line of Sacramento. And of course, Sacramento's defensive people will counter with the best defense that they can use. And of course, you got 2 linemen will come out and 7 defensive backs will be in for this one.
Not many points scored in the second half of this one until the final minute or so. But the Gold Miners have come on and are deserving of a victory if they can hang on here. Danny Barrett has 1 last shot at it. Sacramento leading by 4 at 27-23. Here it is, folks. Final play of the ball game. Barrett looks to the end zone. Alexander can't come up with it. It's actually intercepted by Sacramento. Now the ball comes loose and Gold Miners fall on it. Walter Bailey was in the middle of that, number 23. And that's the old ball game as the Sacramento Gold Miners come from behind. Full value for a great victory over the BC Lions. Danny Barrett had a good night. David Archer was slightly better, at least in the clutch. Gold Miners win their 4th of the year, 27-23. Dave Ritchie will not be a happy camper after blowing a 10-point lead in the final 2 minutes. There's your final, folks. Sacramento over BC, 27-23.
Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass. Well, we go back to the final moments of the game. Sacramento would just score the touchdown when Jim Crouch puts it up for James Pruitt, and watch him run underneath this just so and take it away from Matt Clark. The onside kick set up the go-ahead touchdown for Sacramento as the Gold Miners pull off a most unlikely come-from-behind win. A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of coaches in amateur sport. On behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass, guaranteed the pick of the crop from coast to coast. We'll be back with more from the stadium at BC Place in just a moment. The CFL Live on TSN has been brought to you by Pepsi. Be young, have fun, drink Pepsi. And by Mark's Work Warehouse, clothes that work. Well, the criticism of the Sacramento Gold Miners all season long is that they had yet to master the nuances of the Canadian game. Well, today they showed that they do have a handle on some of it, namely the last-second comeback drive. Sacramento scores 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes and a couple of seconds to pull one out against the BC Lions. And you have to think that the 2 happiest men in Western Canada tonight are Don Matthews and Ron Lancaster, who saw their team's second-place hopes bolstered by this shocking BC loss. Our next game is the Sacramento Gold Miners and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Friday, October 15th at 8:30 Eastern Time here on TSN. Our final score here, 27-23, Sacramento over BC. For all of us at TSN, I'm Gord Miller. So long from Vancouver.